Magoni's a goal scorer. What about Dante? Dante's his own breed.
Give me 2 seconds, Eichel and Svetch, and I'll be coming at your neck. Richard Zednick, laugh past the breadstick, Artemi will bury. Send him on his merry way, lest it's don't carry. What's sadder than KK's broken spleen? Leafs fan with hopes and dreams. Rink Moose is back for season 3 with hot takes like you wouldn't believe.
I'll block shots. I rescind that. You've never blocked a shot for me.
Now let's turn it over to the host of the show. His character's high, but his skill level's low. Kid back checks like you don't even know. Championship flow, Jonathan Quick is a schmo. Yeah.
Oh, hello there.
Tis the season. Last year was like treason. Stanley Cup, more like a COVID Cup. The year of Cooper was more a big blooper, like Ferris Bueller in a brand new cruiser. Oh, hail, hail! Now my car is a star, moves like a sports car. He can sauce like a Boston crisscross like Art Ross. He's peanut butter smooth like Quinn Hughes, and a work of art like that upstart Carter Hart. That's good kokanee right there. So in comes Keith. Will the boys be Leaf? Can Jumbo Joe and Nonsense Mo avoid another repeat? It's time to start the show, so turn up the stereo. Put your feet up, relax, enjoy a Bud Light Jack. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of the Rink Moose Hockey Podcast, an episodic podcast where two good pals get together and discuss all things NHL and their implications in the fantasy hockey universe. I am one of your hosts, as always, Nick Costu. This week joined alongside my good friend, this week who we call the Bubble Boy, Kyle Nice. Kyle, how are you doing on this Friday evening?
Wow.
You are the Bubble Boy. You're the new Bubble Boy.
No, it's funny you should bring that up because I very nearly pulled the trigger on a deal yesterday to sell off pieces for my playoff hopes.
Wow. Bold.
Because, Grubauer is out for 2 weeks. I'm sunk. I'm done. So I still have the deal in place. I might do it. I'm not so upset because, I got hit with a bad string of luck. But, fantasy hockey aside, I'm doing all right. Good to be back in the studio here.
Now, can I share a correlation with you?
Yeah.
My theory is ever since you picked up Alexis Lafreniere, there's a correlation to your team just playing like dog shit.
That's not it, man.
Is that not it?
That's not it. I'm telling you. You know what? I'll tell you what it is. It's a string of things. I drafted 3 Buffalo players. I drafted Carter Hart.
Okay.
And
that's immediately not a good start.
Those 2 things right off the bat, and then something else happened. I just lost. I don't know. It's not gone well. It's not gone well. But I'm at peace with it.
I'm having a hard time understanding how we had a fantasy hockey preview show, and we had 2 experts, you and Josh, and one of those experts will not be making the playoffs. That to me speaks volumes.
Well, at least it's not me.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We will see.
That's all I'm going to say.
We will have an update.
That's the thing, Nick. He needs to crush me to pass me.
He does. I spoke to him last night. He says 4.5 categories.
Okay.
He needs to beat you by. So he's got the math out. He's done all the math, and he's looking forward to taking you out. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We will see. Okay, without further ado, in the rotating third chair this week, Joe from the Bridge. Joe, how are you doing?
Honestly, fantastic. There's no better way I'd like to spend a Friday night than getting absolutely tanked with 2 of the most knowledgeable hockey people I know. So this is fantastic.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's go.
Absolutely fantastic. Glad to be on the show with the boys. And, it's a bright spot in these dark times,
Oh,
you were right.
Discussing hockey. Fantastic.
Rink Moose is a lighthouse on a stormy evening on the coast.
Bill Shakespeare could not have said it better himself, Kyle. Fantastic. Beautiful.
There you go.
All right. Well,
what a great start.
Yeah. This is our annual Trade Center show where we will be recapping all the craziness from Trade Center, including some of the antics that TSN was up to, which I hope you guys tuned into, at least some of it.
Of course. You think we study for exams?
Yeah, exactly. But without further ado, let's recap where we're at this point. We had the fewest traded players in basically 2 decades, 26 trades. So, based on how you interpret it, maybe a little underwhelming, but some big ones nonetheless. And I want to just start, given I'm wearing a Leaf jersey right now and we have Joe on the show. I'd love to start with our beloved Toronto Maple Leafs, who made 3 trades on deadline day. The first being acquiring Nick Foligno and Stefan Nason. Nason. For a first-round pick in 2021, a fourth-round pick in 2022, going to Columbus, 50% of Foligno's cap hit retained by them, and the Sharks acquiring Toronto's fourth-round pick in 2021, and that's in return for retaining 25% of Foligno's cap hit. So before we move to the 2, which, depending on how you read it, aren't as consequential, what did you make of probably the biggest trade the Leafs have made since, by my count, probably the Jake Muzzin trade?
Yeah. Honestly, I think I said this to Kyle on trade deadline day. I love the trade, just flat out. I think it's fantastic. I think what Foligno brings to this team is exactly what they need: some grit, some character, some leadership. Now with the power play struggling, you could be a stabilizing net front presence that they might not have had. Also, one of the biggest things about Foligno that it's not going to get, quantified in an analytics chart, or James Myrtle's not going to talk about it in The Athletic, is that there's some form of intangibles in playoff hockey. And me, I think analytics are a very reliable tool, but it's not the end all be all. And I think that someone like Foligno in the playoffs, protects the stars. It protects Matthews and Marner and Nylander. And I can see what Dubas is trying to do here. He's trying to insulate his stars with leadership. He brought in Thornton, he brought in Simmons, he brought in guys like Foligno now, that'll insulate the stars. And, if they're having a bad game, there's someone on the bench, not only to pick them up, but also out there on the ice. If some little pest like Gallagher's running around trying to run the goalie or trying to run around Matthews, you have someone like Foligno out there. And another underrated part of Foligno's game, which doesn't get talked about very much, is the defensive aspect of this game. He's a very good defensive forward. And the Leafs style of hockey, and I'm sure we all watch the Toronto Maple Leafs a lot, is that when they defend the lead, they don't just sit back and let pressure come. They like to play keep away, right? So someone like Foligno on the ice to help smother, the opponents from getting the puck, that's something that I think fits in well to the Leaf system. Now, the counter arguments, right? It's you gave up a first round pick for a 33-year-old center that has what does he have? 13, 14 points this year, Nick? Something like that.
Yeah.
And you could have gone out and got Taylor Hall. Well, the first argument I would make to that is that, this draft, as we've discussed on this show before together, and I'm sure you guys have discussed without me, this draft is a complete crapshoot. The leagues, the minor leagues around the world, the junior leagues around the world, rather, are not playing. The OHL's not playing. The WHL's, many of the junior leagues aren't playing. So no one really knows who's good. Like you said in the show before, the first 7 picks could be interchangeable. This Leafs pick is a really late first round pick. It would probably be the 25th or 26th pick. To me, that's already taking a flyer on a guy. So I think this is basically just a second round pick. And there are rumors anyways that they are going to trade down. So forget about the draft stock. That I think is irrelevant. And number 2, the other counter argument is, well, look what you could have gotten, Taylor Hall. Do you want someone like Taylor Hall in the dressing room? I've seen tweets from guys like Justin Bourne who have looked at Taylor Hall and they've said, this guy is someone that does not have confidence with the puck. He's scared to make moves. And that's someone, and he's even said himself, I don't want to be the focal point. Well, listen, buddy, you're coming to Toronto. You would be the focal point, right? So I just don't think that they also don't really need another goal scorer. Like their top 2 lines with Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, Marner, they don't need another goal scorer. What they really do need in the playoffs is someone who's going to settle things down, and so they don't blow a 3-0 lead like they did to Columbus, right? So yeah, that's just my analysis. I like the trade, and I'm very, very, very excited to see him join the team. And another benefit that we didn't talk about, he's also Italian. The Leafs are going to have a full Italian line going someday with Foligno. They're going to call up Kenny Agostino. It'll be like a local 183 bargaining unit. It'll be fantastic. My people.
Joseph, where does he play?
That's actually a very good question. So I've actually tinkered around with this a lot on Cap Friendly instead of, like actually studying for exams. But I put him, there's two places I would like to see him. One, I'd like to see him on the wing with Tavares. I want to see how him, Nylander, and Tavares work because Matthews, Marner, and Hyman work so good together because there's three different types of players in that line: a goal scorer, a passer, and somebody who can go get the puck. Now, if you add Foligno to the Tavares line, you also have like a goal scorer in Nylander, a passer in Tavares, and somebody who can go get the puck. That's one option. Obviously, I think he'll play on the power play, no question about it. But I think the other way I want to see him is on the third line. Sheldon Keefe this year, as you can see, he's tried to create sort of a shutdown third line like Tampa had in the playoffs. So maybe centering, him with like Mikheyev and Simmons or Mikheyev and Engvall, like just the sound of like Simmons, Mikheyev, and Foligno. That sounds like a very difficult line to play against, and a line where you're going to get hit a lot and like they're going to smother you. So I'd like to see him either in the 3C role or on the wing with Tavares. Although I just don't know how you can kick a Galchenyuk out of that spot because he's been awesome since coming to the Leafs, right? So one of those two roles. And I think that's another beautiful thing about Foligno. You can play him up and down the lineup. He's a very, very versatile player, whereas someone like Taylor Hall would slot in on that second line for sure. But I can't see him play anywhere else. Like, you're not going to put Taylor Hall on your third line. I don't think he's known for his defensive prowess, right? So I just think Foligno is just a great fit for what this team is trying to do.
Before I jump to Kyle, final little inquiry. You mentioned he can go anywhere, malleable player. Of course, when a player comes into the lineup, someone has to leave the lineup. So who do you think is the odd man out? Who do you think is the loser of this trade?
That's a good question, too, because I'm looking at the lineup right now. And like, I keep forgetting Nylander's on the COVID protocol list. So that would mean two people are going to have to come out right now. So obviously I would assume that Robertson's going to come out because he's just a young guy. And I think he's not strong enough to play in the NHL yet. He's going to be good one day, but I don't think he is. So that's one body out. And honestly, to replace Thing, I mean, in the playoffs, like, I just think you need a guy like Joe Thornton on the bench, and that's why you brought him here for. So I don't think you can take Thornton out. I wouldn't touch Simmons. I think Engvall would go. I think if there's an odd man out, it would be Engvall. His play of recent games too, it's kind of bothering me. I don't know if you've noticed that too. It's like sometimes, like, there's times where you notice him, but when you don't notice him, or he's either turning over the puck or just out of position defensively. So I think Engvall would be the odd man out, and the second runner up to that would probably be Joe Thornton. But I just don't think you can take a guy like Joe Thornton out in the playoffs. You brought him here for the specific reason of leadership in the playoffs, and I don't think he's willing to pull that trigger.
Yeah, and it sure looks like that Engvall character. He's kind of in the Keith doghouse. He's kind of the default guy to point the finger at. So
yeah, and Keith doesn't really have a doghouse, so it's surprising like how Engvall's in there. He just seems like a level-headed guy. But Engvall. I think even the other night, you noticed. I think it was against Calgary where he played like one shift Engvall. Yeah. So he's already starting to be in the doghouse. So I think that's the likely suspect that would come out.
Sure. The hard question here, I say for Kyle. You ready for this one?
Yes, Kyle? I am ready for anything.
This from The Athletic. The risk is that the Leafs are now counting on too many declining players in key roles. Along with Foligno, who turned 33 in October, the Leafs have 41-year-old slowing Joe Thornton, 32-year-old Simmons, 37-year-old Jason Spezza. Will those veterans have enough gas left to go 4 rounds to keep up with Tampa, potentially Vegas or Colorado? That's a fair question. There's a chance last season's playoff disappointment has pushed Dubas and his company too far in one direction, that the 2020 playoffs and all the drama that came before it convinced management the roster was lacking precisely the ingredient players like Foligno could offer, and that they went too far with it and won't have the juice for a deep playoff run. Or Foligno will bring it at playoff time and be just the extra bit of metal the Leafs needed. Where do you sit on those two kind of philosophies?
Yeah. So right away, the first thing you said about how they might be a little bit too old to contribute like they once did and this kind of thing. Obviously, with age comes a decline in skill, but I think where you see most of that age-related decline in production is through a regular season slog where it's just consistently game after game. I think in such a short window of time that the playoffs are, there's ways for these guys to get amped up for every game. Like you saw it last year with Corey Perry, a fantastic example. Corey Perry did not have a very productive regular season. But when it came time for playoffs, Corey Perry looked a lot like the old Corey Perry that we know and love. So, I mean, you're seeing it a bit with Jason Spezza right now. Spezza, first of all, was amazing last year in the playoffs. He's playing inspired this year. I mean, I just think that when it comes time, the age thing is going to be less of a factor than whatever this guy is making it out to be. I think Thornton's going to get a little bit more life. Like, they're not going balls to the wall right now because they don't need to. But when it comes time, I think they're going to be ready to go. I think the veteran leadership, especially, and you know what, these aren't necessarily the most prominent roles in the team. Every single core player is taking up, the most prominent roles. The goal scorers, the first and second line guys. These guys are, amongst the best insulation you can have. And I think this was, a bar none win for the Leafs. I have two words for the deal on the whole: poetic justice, because the Leafs, who got bounced by Columbus last year with a contrasting style, now have that team's damn captain, Mr. Columbus. Like, this is just, it's a savvy, like savage move by Dubas to recognize. And here's the thing that really gets me about this deal. Dubas's flexibility and his willingness to adapt. Early on in his career, all you heard was, okay, this guy's skilled, focus, analytics are everything. And then he took a little bit of heat. He took the criticism. And what we found out is he actually took it and he's now learning from it because he saw what the results presented him in the Columbus series. And now, now he's got a team that has everything. You can't, and me, who's been a naysayer for this team for so long, I can't find any faults anymore. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, it's just he's made a good move. And like Joe said, the first you can just toss away. Like, that is just not a price you have to think twice about. For this kind of guy, it's irrelevant. It's a perfect deal. This guy thrives on board battles, crowded spaces, the front of the net. Like, put him on any line. This is a win on so many levels. This is a guy I'd way rather have than a Taylor Hall. Way rather have. Thank God they didn't get him. And I just, man, I'm telling you, if I were to make my bracket today, I'd have to think on it a little bit, but I don't see how the Leafs don't, at the very least, come out of the North and probably come out of the East.
I think it's also, yeah, like you said, I think it's a good testament to like how Dubas has learned as a general manager. The year before when he made the trade when he traded Kadri for Kerfoot and Barry, I bet he definitely regrets that trade now. But he could have done what people think he is, which is this analytics guru, but he's not. Like, I mean, if you look at some of the pieces Kyle Dubas has acquired, Kyle Clifford, not the most analytics friendly player, but he tried to bring him in so he could have some grit in the playoffs, but it obviously wasn't enough. Jake Muzzin, great defenseman, but not like an analytics darling. So this year I was like, you know what? Like, I want to see what he does at the deadline, because I want to see if he's still trying to buy into that philosophy of like speed and skill. And he deviated from that. And I like it because he knows now when he looks at the Leafs playoff exits, what it takes to win in the playoffs. And like you said, this guy Foligno, he thrives in the corners and thrives in tight spaces. One of the problems last year against Columbus was the defense was okay. It was fine, except for that calamitous collapse in like game 3. The problem with the Leafs is they couldn't get on the inside of Columbus. Their goalies had like a .940 save percentage, but a lot of that is because of the fact that guys like Kapanen and Johnsson at the time, they didn't drive the net. A lot of the shots were from the outside. But now if you have guys like Foligno, Simmons, Thornton causing ruckus in front of the net, I mean, that's how you win in the playoffs. A goal goes off some guy's ass and goes in the net, and then you lock it down, right? So this is a good testament to I see where Dubas is like, you know what? I have a team right now that's incredibly skilled. They're playing much better defensively. It needs a bit of more toughness in the playoffs, and that's why you go out and get a guy like Nick Foligno. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Kyle. I think it was just a very savvy move and a good recognition of what this team needs to win in the playoffs.
And you know what too, just really quickly, is it's so refreshing, Dubas's lack of ego. I think this is a profession where, you know, the old big wigs have a real sense of ego about them, and they're not willing to change their ways. This is a really refreshing look for a general manager, as opposed to like a Lou Lamoriello, who's never going to change his ways ever.
Yeah, and a lot of the hatred for Dubas that I find, a lot of it is from more of the older generation, because when they expect a hockey GM, they expect a guy like Lou Lamoriello, you know, no nonsense. You know, you come into my team, you adapt to this culture, and you shave my beard. But Dubas isn't like that. Dubas is a pretty. I think Dubas is a pretty. He's a guy that admits his wrongdoings and admits his faults, and he's an honest guy at the podium. And you know, I'm just happy that he's running the team, because you see how he had a vision, but of speed and skill, but he realized that didn't work and deviated from them. A lot of general managers don't do that. A lot of general managers, like the Burks of the world, have a plan. And they're like, this is my style of hockey, my way or the highway. But I love how Dubas deviated from his plan for the good of the team. So yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's some growth in the young Dubas.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with Kyle. I think it's the most complete. If you just look at the defense and the forwards, it's now the most complete team in the Canadian division, and you can't really argue with that. My concern lies with the trade they made following that, which I'll get to shortly. Before I go there, now Columbus they have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
The only other time they had 3 first-round picks was 2013, when they took Alex Wenberg, Kirby Reichel, and Marco Dano, 14, 19, and 27, respectively.
Where's Marco Dano playing now?
Is that a good draft class there, Kyle?
No, that's terrible.
Okay, so hopefully they fired the scouts from that year and they got different ones for this year.
Well, considering who they reached up to grab last year, I'd be pretty nervous if I was a Columbus fan.
Yeah.
Are there Columbus fans out there?
I gotta think there's 1 or 2. There's gotta be.
All right, moving on to my concern. Shortly thereafter, the Leafs traded for young Czechoslovakian David Ritik for a 3rd-round pick in 2022. With this trade, the Leafs basically have very few picks left for this coming draft, only a 2nd, a 5th, and a 6th. So not much left to go there. It sounds like they just made this trade to get some insurance. The health of Anderson is up in the air at the moment. Apparently he's traveling with them on their next road trip, so potentially he plays there. Jack Campbell's been up and down of late, so there's some concern as well there. I'm just convinced. I'm not convinced this team has, close to the best goaltending in this division. I think Winnipeg has the better goaltending. I think the Canadians have better goaltending, and I think this will be their pitfall. I'm predicting it right now. If this team doesn't succeed in the playoffs, it will be because of some weak, leaky goals and drama from the goaltender position. I can't see this team like fucking up it being a defense issue or a forward issue. The system is too strong. They've been playing it too well now for over 40 games. Keefe has got them indoctrinated. The system is great. The goaltending is the one thing Keefe can't control, and I think that might be their downfall. So how do you think this trade rectifies my concerns, and I'm sure other people's concerns?
Yeah, I mean, I think the logic of the Riddick trade, just to go through before we even talk about David Riddick, is that, okay, Frederik Andersen's coming back from injury. He's probably going to be on use. Well, first of all, it's probably a cap issue too, because they brought Foligno in. They brought guys like Riley Nash in, and they needed cap room. So Freddie was going to be on the LTIR for the rest of the season, regardless. As soon as they traded for David Riddick, you knew that. So the logic for that was that, okay, I have Campbell and Hutchinson as my backup. I want to rest Campbell, but I don't want to give away points in the standings by playing Hutchinson. So let me trade for David Riddick so I can give Campbell a rest and have a competent goalie. Obviously, and I know you would agree on this too, David Riddick is an obvious upgrade on on Hutchinson. You would agree?
Yes.
Agree.
Okay, right. So now the logic is, when we go into the playoffs, I think Freddie will be healthy for the playoffs. I still think it's Campbell's net, despite the past couple of games of the 1 or 2 games of bad goaltending performance. Although even the other night, they were missing Matthews and Nylander. That wasn't really their strongest defensive performance. But Riddick is there just in case there's a Colorado mishap where, Campbell's gets hurt because he's been battling injury all year. Freddie gets hurt. And so you don't have to turn to Michael Hutchinson, you turn to David Riddick. But I do agree with you, Nick. The goaltending is a soft spot on this team. I don't know if, I don't feel comfortable as a Leaf fan right now with any of the 3 goaltenders. I think if I had to do an organizational depth chart right now, it's still obviously Campbell, I think is still number 1, Freddie, and then Riddick below him, and then Hutchinson after that, right? So I think the Riddick trade for Dubas was just to address the fact that what if there's like a Colorado situation on a deep run? Because, it's the playoffs. Guys get injured all the time. And we don't want to rely on Michael Hutchinson, right? And it's hilarious. Like, imagine being Michael Hutchinson where, general managers are so trading their draft picks just so they don't have to see you in the playoffs. They're like, if that guy steps foot on the ice, our team is completely fucked. But, no,
Yes.
yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't address the concern you have because I still wouldn't feel comfortable with Riddick as a starting goalie in the playoffs. No way. And that's probably the one Achilles heel of the Leafs. But I think with this Leaf team, really all you need is competent goaltending. I'm not saying Hellebuck level, but I think they just need a couple of big saves. And Campbell has proven he can do that time in, time out. I mean, the guy just came off an 11-game winning streak. He's a good goalie. He's a decent goalie in this league, right? And Frederick Anderson, for all his flaws, the elimination games he hasn't played well, but in games against Boston, he stole some of the games for the Leafs, right? You remember that infamous stick save in year 2 when they made the playoffs? Right. So really all the Leafs need is competent goaltending. And this is also a team this year where they don't give up odd man rushes like they used to. So in the playoffs, even against Columbus, a lot of their goals were scored off odd man rush. It was very rarely the cycle that hurt them. It was, a guy pinching too much in the odd man rush. So I think really this team just needs competent goaltending. But I do agree with your premise of your argument where it's if there is one flaw in this Leafs team, it is goaltending. There's not very many of them, but if you're going to poke a hole in them, it's a bad goal. That could sink them.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you my little perspective on this as a guy who doesn't watch the Leafs every time they play, for sure. But if this goaltending thing is a problem, in my mind, it's only a problem if injuries are the issue. Right. I don't think the talent of the goaltending that they have in Freddie and Jack is the problem here, but I do not trust their health at this point in the season. Their health has been too up and down for them to be trusted as a 1-2. That's the reason David Riddick has come in. I don't mind seeing David Riddick down the stretch here. I really don't. Play him 50% of the games for all I care. However, if you see David Riddick in the playoffs, you're in big trouble. I mean, why Dubas did it is because yes, you'll still have a chance, and I think with David Riddick, you'll have a shot against every team in this North Division, but it's not a good sign. But that being said, if we have Jack or if we have Freddie at the good level of Freddie, then I'm not too worried about the goaltending. I think, like you said, they need an average goalie. And they can do a lot of things with an average goalie. I think both of those guys are capable of that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, not to mention the character aspect too. I mean, this guy Riddick, apparently beloved guy, kind of a jokester in the locker room.
Bit of a hothead too, eh?
Yeah, apparently. I saw him brush Johnny Gaudreau. Although when he hacked Matthew Tkachuk's ankles, I was like, you know what? I've already fallen in love with this guy. He's my guy. I'm in.
He's bought in, eh? That's great. That is great. No, and you know what? The price wasn't too high. Let's be honest. No, they didn't have to pay a lot.
Again, the Leafs don't need these draft picks. The fact that Dubas also, and this is an underrated asset, they gave him a first-round pick, but the Leafs did not give up a single roster player on a team that has great chemistry right now. All the players have it, and all of their prospects are still in the pipeline. Sandin, Liljegren, Amirov, what's his name? Who's the Finnish defense? Niemela. All those guys are still in the pipeline and have not been moved. And I think one of the underrated trades that's not being talked about, that's not a deadline acquisition, is Alex Galchenyuk. The Galchenyuk acquisition and the way he's been playing negated any reason for Dubas to go after a guy like Taylor Hall, because Galchenyuk's been awesome. I know as a Montreal fan, Kyle, you're like, you know what, this guy still sucks, but you know what? He has been very good with the Leafs. He's not scoring every game, but he's a hard worker. He's a good passer of the puck, and he fits in very well in that top six. So Alex Galchenyuk was that top six forward they acquired. And obviously, I'm not comparing Galchenyuk to Taylor Hall, because I still think Taylor Hall's a better player. But that Galchenyuk acquisition for absolutely fucking nothing, it was like two prospects that the Leafs they were never going to make the team, is huge for the Leafs. Because now they could have went out and get a guy like Foligno. If Galchenyuk was garbage, they would have needed someone like Taylor Hall to help them continue to scoring. But Galchenyuk's been awesome. Like, he's been a great addition to this team.
I just want to, I don't know. I guess I want to throw out a word of caution. I don't think we can expect this guy to keep up what he's doing. Like, I hope the team is not relying on Galchenyuk being this kind of guy for the rest of the season into the playoffs. Because, I mean, yes, he's playing great right now, but let's the history doesn't lie. The last 5 years, he has not found a home in like 6 different cities. I just don't want anyone to rely too heavily on this guy, and I'm worried that might be. Then again, they don't necessarily need him. But I can't see him in the top 6 in the playoffs, personally.
I don't know. Like, I mean, listen, like I said, it depends where Foligno plays. Like, if you put Foligno on Tavares's the other side of Tavares and Nylander, then Galchenyuk would go to the third line. And like, I think Galchenyuk's perfectly comfortable. Galchenyuk is a third liner in the NHL. Like, he can play on the third line on any team in the league. But like, I mean, I guess also, like, you know, he's a versatile player. Like the other night against Calgary with Matthews and Marner, he was awesome. You know, I don't think he can consistently play at this level, but the thing is, like, it's not even the fact that he's scoring. Like, I don't even care if he scores. Not that he's a hard worker. And when he's out there on the ice, I don't shit my pants, you know, or it's like I don't shit my pants in the D zone or in the O zone. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to provide nothing. He works hard. And I think the Leafs did it right with him. You know, they didn't throw him right into the line. They sent him to the Marlies to get acclimated to the system. And, you know, he came up and he's been playing pretty well. So, you know, I'm all for a good reclamation project.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many pundits, they had 3 things on their list the Leafs needed to address. A backup goaltender, a gritty grinder forward. Both those checked off. The third piece was a defenseman. On the record, Joe, you said the night before they needed to acquire a defenseman. They do so and acquire Ben Hutton from the Ducks.
You son of a bitch.
For a 5th round pick in 2022. They send
Ben
Alex
Hutton.
Barabanov to the Sharks, and the Leafs also get Antti Suomela. So what do you make of this Ben Hutton character?
So
Can I go first on this one?
Oh, yeah, go.
This to me was the biggest mistake of Dubas's deadline. What I have here is 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Ooh.
And I'm talking about character. Now, I only bring this up because I have inside stories that this guy is a really shitty guy.
Whoa!
I went to school with some guys who knew him. I think he grew up in Vancouver or something. Could be wrong on that, but he's a shitty guy. And I think that you look at the next deal that happened with the Ducks with the Hayden Fleury deal. And I look at that defenseman and say, you know what, for a similar price, this is a way better guy to have, this Hayden Fleury guy. He's been growing like a weed in Carolina's wonderful AHL farm system in Charlotte. And he's ready for prime time. And I think, you know, he's not going to disturb the chemistry of the room. This Ben Hutton guy scares me. I will say that.
Honestly, like I can't dispute that because like I didn't know who the fuck Ben Hutton was until the Leafs traded for him. But I guess the logic is that like like again, like I'm just going through the logic of these trades before I actually analyze like the piece. The logic is that if Marty Marinson steps foot in a playoff game, you're fucked. So I guess you'd rather have Ben Hutton on the ice, who's at least semi-competent, from what I've heard, playing over him. And again, like realistically, this guy is not going to get playing time unless there's a serious injury, right? I mean, like again, like I think the depth chart on that bottom pair goes Dermott, Sandin, and then Ben Hutton. So there'd have to be like 2 injuries before Hutton plays, right? Although there was a hilarious clip of him here singing Barbie Girl, which I was fucking dying at.
Yeah, I saw that too, and that's why I was going to say his character's questionable.
Why? Because he lip sings Barbie Girl. There's also a video of Joe Thornton
I was
singing
gonna call him out for that.
Listen, I mean, I can't comment on the character of the guy, but I think he's an upgrade to Martin Marinson. And if you're just looking at like what did Dubas need to check the box of, he got a third pairing defenseman or a backup third pairing defenseman. He got a goalie and he got a gritty top 6 forward. So he did hit all the boxes. Now, could he have gotten Hayden Fleury? Maybe. But like we discussed in the group chat, me and Josh were talking about it. I don't think Hayden Fleury's cap hit would have worked for the Leafs, right? So that's why they probably went out and got Ben Hutton, who's making like $950K. And I think Fleury's like, at least he's got to be, I think he's like 1.3 or something like that, or 1.2. So that's probably why they couldn't get him in under the cap. But I'm sure Dubas probably would have gone for him if it wasn't for cap issues. But I think the Foligno acquisition, I think the top 6 gritty forward is a little bit more pressing than like the third pairing defenseman, because first of all, like Zach Bogosian's been awesome. Like I'll keep him on the third pairing all day. It's just Dermott sometimes is a bit whatever, but I think the Leafs can stomach that with how good Muzzin, Hall, Riley, and Brody have been. So I don't know. I can't speak to Mr. Hutton's character.
Well, perhaps Scott Wheeler of The Athletic can. He trains and skates with the Ottawa area NHLers. Giroux.
How long have you had that queued up?
From the beginning, Joe. From the beginning.
This guy takes notes before the show.
And everyone who I write the show every week, and everyone who works with him, there glows about the kind of guy he is and his work ethic. The same kind of things people say about Riddick and Foligno, coincidentally. So maybe there was that part of the Leaf plan. He'll be a good third pairing option for them. He moves well for a 6'2", 200+ pounds, and he plays hard, determined, simple game with penalty kill utility. Anything to add?
I'll stick to my my personal stories.
Okay. But no, I do agree. I'm sure, like, I don't understand the Hayden Fleury trade. Like, I want to know more about this player, because from what I remember watching him play against Boston in the playoffs last summer, I was so impressed with him. He was playing like a top 4 role because they had faced some injuries. And I was like, this guy's a stud. This guy could go for a first round pick. And then I heard he went for 1-for-1 with Yanni Hakanpää.
I don't know what it is, Nick, and I'll tell you why it was Hayden Fleury. Because I went to a Charlotte game not long ago. They had 2 stud prospect defensemen, Hayden Fleury and Jake Bean. I suppose they've chosen Jake Bean as their next up and coming guy, and Hayden Fleury happened to be the odd man out as perhaps a guy they couldn't afford to keep around, and it sucks they didn't get anything for him. It's a terrible return. Like I think they blew it on this one. Like who is this guy other than one of the hits leaders in fantasy? Like he's just a schmo.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I wish I had more people on the inside who could tell me about the dynamics here, because this was the one trade that kind of bewildered me. I was like, that's a weird 1-for-1. Because on one end, I thought one guy was a star in the making, and the other guy's just a Radko Gudas,
Yeah. Exactly. Like if I'm Edmonton,
Gudas isn't a star in the making.
Okay, simmer down.
If I'm Edmonton, I'm all over this Hayden Fleury guy.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Especially if it's going to cost this. Are you shitting me?
Yeah. Now, before we leave the Leafs, Foligno, of course, 3rd in franchise history in games for Columbus at .599, 3rd in goals, 142, 3rd in assists, 3rd in points, and a game-winning 21 goals, and 6th in penalty minutes. So definitely a grizzled old vet who can get dirty sometimes.
Can I share my most prominent memory of Nick Foligno?
Go ahead.
Columbus, Pittsburgh. probably about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years
OT
ago.
winner.
OT winner, 2-knee slide all the way from the goal line down to center ice. It was fantastic. And I was
Bob Cole
heartbroken.
commentary on that is amazing.
It was fantastic. I was heartbroken and I was in awe at the same time. I was like, and I think it was Columbus's first ever OT winner in the playoffs. I could be wrong, but it was a very significant goal. And I just remember him sliding on his knees from one end of the ice to the other with all the players diving on him. It was a great, great scene. And it was in Columbus too, I think.
It was. Correct.
Yeah, it was so cool to see. Probably his biggest goal.
I'll have to watch that later. I can't I can't remember that right now, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, he's just a great character guy. I was listening to his interview on 1050 the other day, and like he just seems like he's ready to play. And like I love also the connection that his dad played for the team too and scored a big goal in overtime for them too. So it's just the stars are aligning here for Mr. Foligno.
No, a very candid guy. He always seems to be speaking from his heart when he talks. He doesn't really talk with a lot of hockey cliches, which I like. So I think he'll be a good fit. The other trade that Columbus made, the other notable one, sending David Savard and Brian Lashoff over to the Blue Jackets for a to the Lightning for a first-round pick, a third-round pick, as well as the Blue Jackets retaining 50% of Savard's cap hit. And as well, Red Wings will be getting a fourth-round pick in that trade to retain 25% of his cap hit. So what do you see in this? Is this just Tampa reloading yet again to be the favorites to win the Cup?
Yeah, you know what I see this as? It's basically what they did with getting Coleman on the fourth line in their forward group. Exact same thing, but on the defense.
Right.
David Savard, like you saw last year in the playoffs, he's a big guy. You don't want to go into the corners with him. And then it just gives him that much needed depth under a Sergachev, under a Hedman, under these kinds of guys. They definitely paid a price to get this guy, but Tampa looks, more formidable than a week ago by a long shot to me. Like this is a great move, and they're all in this year again. So good move on them. Paid the price, and good on Columbus for stacking those firsts. I know it's kind of a weird draft, but they could get lucky and hit on some of those.
Well, you mentioned poetic justice earlier. Perhaps this is a little poetic justice for the Lightning, because this, of course, was a key player who had a hand in sweeping them just 2 years ago.
Oh, yes. So
they acquire the defenseman that had their number, and now he joins their top four alongside McDonough, Hedman, and
Sergachev.
Yeah, Sergachev and Cernak. I mean, it's loaded.
Right.
Loaded.
Yeah, that could be the best defense core in the East.
They're as they should be. They are the favorites, right? There's no disputing that. Okay. More on Savard.
No.
More on Savard. He's blocked more shots for the Blue Jackets, not even close. He stopped 958 pucks, nearly 200 more than the second place Jack Johnson. He leveled 1,117 hits, fourth on the franchise list behind Foligno, Jenner, and Brandon Dubinsky. So quite the guy Tampa's getting here.
Yeah, I mean, just like a comment on Savard, like I was hoping that, like low key, that the Leafs would have gone after him. But it cost a first round pick for him too, and I think it's for the Leafs is better spent on Nick Foligno. But I think Tampa made a good move here. He's a solid quality defenseman, and this is just them getting deeper for another cup run. They're a great team. I mean, you can never have too many defensemen in the playoffs, and he's awesome, right? So,
and you know what? His mobility is sneaky good too. From what I remember, he's everything we've said. He's big, he's tough, he's this and that. But he can move. Like it's surprising when you see him.
Yeah, no, he's an awesome defenseman. I think he actually would have fit in really well in the Leafs with Bogosian on the third pair because they played together too. That would be a nightmare to play against, but was not to be. I'm definitely happy with Nick. But no, good for Tampa. I mean, listen, they they're the kings so far of deadline deals recently, right? So,
Mhm.
and in fact, a lot of people are comparing the Foligno move to the move that Tampa made last year. Was it for who did they trade for? Was it Goodrow?
Goodrow and Coleman, as
Yeah.
Kyle said. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's Tampa another year in a row makes a big splash at the deadline.
You know what? What's not getting any or not getting much play is Columbus just blowing up. Like they're just tearing it all down. Hey.
Wow. I thought that was inevitable with everything that was going on this year about Torts and
Yeah.
the way his players responded to him and the whole line A benching and stuff. It's just been a disaster.
It's just so
Like,
sad.
I think, like Torts will probably, most likely get fired.
He's gone. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to hear my hot take, we can, but it might be too hot for the show. I think he's going to coach Buffalo next.
Okay. I do like that take. I think
him or our old friend Mike Babcock will coach Buffalo next.
Wow. You think one of those
culture
guys is going to stake their reputation on that team?
You know why? Because Buffalo, right? Like, this is completely off topic, but I was talking about this the other day, and Buffalo is not the team that needs a guy like Sheldon Keefe, like a player's coach. They need someone that's going to fucking change the culture. And as much as you hate guys like Mike Babcock and John Tortorella, those guys come in key places and they change the culture. Say what you want about Babcock's in Toronto. I hated his guts. But year 1, year 2, implemented a completely different culture, and the Leafs were no longer a lapping stock. That's what they need in Buffalo. That's my hot take for the show.
Wow. I would love to see it. I think that would be prime time television every time they step on the ice. I really do. That is amazing stuff.
100%. And they would play the Leafs like 4 times, so it'd be great to see Babs and Matthews goes roof on Linus Ullmark.
Well, you can throw my hat into the Babcock ring. That was my prediction a couple months ago, and I still stand by that.
What about the University of Saskatchewan?
Fuck the U Sports. We don't even know what's going on with U Sports right now. But like that was so weird to premature that coach to like mention that coaching job when like U Sports aren't even going on right now.
Maybe that was his
so
play
weird.
all along.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, moving on. The most consequential trade of the entire deadline. Huge transactional deal. To the Capitals, Anthony Mantha. To the Red Wings, Jakub Vrana, Richard Panik, first-round pick, second-round pick. Huge blockbuster trade. Before I open the floor to anybody, this one's an interesting one because I've heard multiple takes on this. I've heard people like, Craig Budden say this is a terrible loss for the Washington Capitals. How in the hell could you give up Jakub Vrana, who's basically Anthony Mantha, and then also give up on a first rounder and a second rounder? And then I've heard people like Pierre Maguire saying it's a great deal, and Mantha is a superstar. And I've heard people say, okay, well, you got to view it 2 ways. It's on one end, it's Panik for the second round pick, just to free up some cap space. The other end, it's Mantha for Vrana. So it's so complex in that it's very layered, and you can look at it in maybe perspectives. But personally, I think it's a win for the Caps because I think Anthony Mantha is a superstar. And as you saw, I did pick him up in fantasy, and he's been fantastic to this point. So I don't know. He's under contract for another couple of years. It's pretty good cap hit too, like pretty affordable stuff. He's young. He's like in his mid-20s. And I just think he's going to fit in like a glove on that top 6. I believe he's playing with Oshie and Backstrom right now. And I don't know much about Vrana. I know way more about Mantha, and I've seen so much. I've seen this guy dominate. I've seen this guy carry a team. I've seen him carry a line, a shitty-ass team, and on certain nights, he's the only guy you notice. He's one of those players who has the power to move a line. He can carry a line, and you can't say that about a lot of players, and a lot of those players aren't being traded. Like, this is a very rare trade. Because, usually it's veterans or youngsters getting traded, not someone who's kind of like in their prime or going to their prime. So, that's where I sit. Win for the Capitals. What do you guys think?
I think it's actually one of the rare trades where like I'm looking at it and like I don't know who's like a clear loser here. Like like the Red Wings got like a great haul. They got a first round pick, second round pick, Vrana, who's a great player, and Richard Panik is a serviceable forward. And the Capitals got what they need on a contending team with Anthony Mantha, who I don't know if he's a superstar, but he's an awesome hockey player. So this is like a trade where I'm looking at, like, I don't know who's a clear loser. Now, there's some people who I've seen, and I don't know, I've seen on Capitals Twitter where they thought they gave up a little bit too much for Anthony Mantha. But I think this guy in the playoffs is going to be dynamite, especially in that East Division when you're playing against teams like the Islanders. Mantha's like a big body, and he can fucking score. So he's a good hockey player. I think this is a rare case where a team that's rebuilding and needed picks got what they got, and they got a great player in Jacob Vrana to help build around too. And the Capitals, who are a contending team, got a great player. So I think this is like one of those. There's very few trades in the NHL which are like, okay, this is even, unless it's like a nothing for nothing deal. But this is one of those trades where I think you can classify it as, okay, both teams got what they needed from this acquisition.
I love Anthony Mantha. That's what I'm going to start with.
Does anyone know if he's Italian? It sounds like an Italian name. I got to look that up.
Well, he is. Maybe he's born in Quebec. I know that, but I don't know about his lineage. This was just kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. Oh boy, first of all, Washington paid a boatload to get a guy who, in my mind, is the most offensively charged player in the deadline. Mantha's a weapon on the power play. Like, I don't know if he's going to sneak onto the first unit. I think right now he's manning the second unit, but instantly he makes that a huge threat. This guy's a power play shooter, much like an Ovechkin. He likes to take that spot near the blue line to the half wall and just fire away. You know what? The other part of it, I mean, Nick's gone over what kind of player this, and I agree with almost everything Nick said about how formidable this guy is. He can be downright scary. He's like 6'4", 220, and he's an amazing player. However,
he's a big boy.
What we need to mention is that Detroit got tired of this guy. Why did they trade Anthony Mantha? And the fact of the matter is, and I don't like admitting this, but this is a player that gets benched every single year. Every single year of his career, he's been benched for what I will call work ethic related reasons.
Is that true? You know, like every year, he's always been benched?
Every year that I can remember, including this year. Like,
wow, I didn't know that.
He's had problems. He has had problems with this kind of thing. Sometimes his effort fades in and out. I don't know if Pierre's mentioned this, but it's something I've watched. So for that reason, Detroit got tired of him. And then from a purely statistical perspective, Jakub Vrana is not that much of a downgrade from an Anthony Mantha on paper. I don't think he's the same type of guy. But then you add in the first rounder, then you add in the second rounder, and then you add in the roster player. And then it makes me think Detroit got what they needed for their situation, and Washington certainly got what they needed for their situation, because without an Anthony Mantha, I think Washington is just a team in their division. They're not a great team. They're just a team. But all of a sudden, you have this X factor who on the second line can make Washington, a team that I wouldn't want to bet against against even a Pittsburgh or a Boston or anybody in that division. So I think both teams come out on top, but I don't think Detroit is sad whatsoever with what they got.
Well, the only two things I'll mention is, you talk about, how the price was high. Okay, but, the same argument runs for the fact what the Leafs did. The Leafs gave up a first in 2021, and we're arguing, well, that's nothing because the 2021 draft sucks. Well, the same argument should apply here. And then the other thing is, I think Washington is very much like Pittsburgh. It's the argument is the team goes where Ovechkin goes, right? So long as you have Ovechkin, so long as he is playing to his potential, the 40, 50 goal scorer that he is, the Hall of Famer that he is, the best scorer in our lifetime that he is, you do what you can to win now. And this is a win now trade. And I think he will help them in the playoffs. They're probably, we talked about favorites in that division. That's probably my new favorite in that division. I can say that definitively. Right. And then the other thing is Vrana. I mean, you talk about Mantha, how he kind of lacks a work ethic sometimes. Coaches don't like him, might get benched. I mean, same kind of story with this guy. Undersized guy, according to Corey Pronman on The Athletic, can drift to the perimeter and give inconsistent effort, often frustrating coaches and scouts over the years I've followed him. Ultimately, despite his up and down performance, particularly this season, I still see Vron as a long-term top six forward in the NHL. But he may not reach the true top of the lineup level as a guy like Mantha. Mm-hmm. So there's a guy who's pretty well read on both players, following them since they've been young kids. Mm-hmm. And I think the same argument applies. I think Washington got sick of him at times, would bench him at times, and I think he fell out of favor. So as much as you want to say Mantha fell out of favor in Detroit, I think the same argument applies to Vrana, and that's why the trade happened.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that about Vrana. But your first point, I can't disagree with it either. I mean, yeah, Washington has become very, very formidable there.
Okay, moving on. The probably the second most consequential deal, and we spoke about Buffalo earlier. The Bruins receive forwards Taylor Hall and fan favorite of the show, Curtis Lazar.
Oh, yeah.
And the Sabres receive Anders Bjork in a second-round pick. Joe, please tell me how Buffalo mucked this one up yet again.
So interestingly enough, I don't know if actually Buffalo did muck it up. I thought that initially when I read it. I'm like, how the fuck did these guys not get at least a first-round pick for Taylor Hall when guys like Foligno were going for anyways? So I looked it up, and Bob McKenzie made some great points. One of the main ones is that Taylor Hall had a no movement clause in his contract, right? And it appears that he really wanted to play for the Boston Bruins, and there were suitors. There were a lot of suitors, but at the end of the day, if you have a no movement clause in your contract, the player pretty much determines where he wants to go, right? So I think this was more of this was what the market is for Taylor Hall because of the no movement clause. And of course, if you're Boston, then negotiation saying he wants to come here, you can't trade him anywhere else because he won't waive his clause. What are you guys going to do? So Kevin Adams got the most he could, which is a second round pick. So that's probably how the Sabres, it's not so much the Sabres mucking it up as it is Taylor Hall bucking them. But then again, you can go back and say, why would you sign a guy in a 1-year deal with a no movement clause? So there's that issue of it, right? In terms of the actual trade, listen, I think Boston has had some offensive problems this year, and I think Taylor Hall should help that. I don't know. I just think like when we were talking about the group, I just think there seems to be a lot of in-depth character issues with Taylor Hall himself. And I know he's played in some bad teams. This guy just seems like he lacks the will to win, or he lacks the confidence. And I'm actually very happy he's not in the Leafs locker room. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a good fit for Boston. I think he'll score. He'll score obviously more than he did in Buffalo, although he was playing with Jack Eichel. I mean, David Krejci seems like a downgrade. I don't know. I know for me, I just think the character issue of Taylor Hall and the lack of the will to win, it seems from him, it just trumps anything I can get from him skill wise,
Yeah, I think. Oh boy. For on Kevin,
you feel the same way.
Yeah, on the part of Kevin Adams with the whole no movement clause, I think that was just a purely boneheaded move. Because then you've given Taylor Hall more power than he friggin' deserved. On that next point, I think this guy's a relatively new GM. In fact, I think this might be his first team. I could be wrong on that. I need to verify. And I just think, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, that even though Taylor Hall was somewhat public about he liked Boston, I think a veteran GM would have been able to get a little more in the same circumstance. I think Kevin Adams was backed into a corner, and it's a terrible position to be in for a new guy in the position. And I think he got a little desperate and perhaps didn't play his cards as close to the chest as maybe he could have. But it's a terrible return. Let's be honest. Now, considering you signed him for nothing over the offseason, that's a saving grace. So if you want to look at it that way, that's a positive. But look at all these other guys that are drawing first round, potential for returns here. And then you look at Taylor Hall, and statistically, upside wise, it's not even close. This is the technically stats wise the best guy in the deadline, and you just got fleeced. Now they did get Anders Bjork, and thank goodness they got that, because what they really desperately need is roster players too. And this guy's a decent player. So Kevin Adams got fleeced in my mind. And then you look at Taylor Hall, and then you just think to yourself, this guy is just such a little shit, isn't he? Like, it's got to be the top 5 worst characters in the entire NHL. He's always been a loser. Everywhere he goes, they call him Mr. Lottery Pick, because every team that has him is in contention for the lottery and oftentimes wins. He's just never been, he's never been that guy. He had a Hart Trophy season out of friggin' nowhere. I don't know what that was about. It was a blip in the radar. That's all I'm concerned about. The guy didn't have any fucking effort whatsoever this year. He looked like he didn't care. He wasn't skating. He wasn't trying. He was embarrassing. The professionalism was at an all-time low. It's just, I wouldn't touch this guy with a 10-foot pole. And I think Boston has just shot themselves in the foot. I don't care what he does in the regular season stats-wise. They're not going anywhere past maximum second round. There's no way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want that guy playing on my playoff roster. I don't think you need a guy like that in the room.
No.
I don't
Exactly.
disagree, but I still think it's an A+ deal for Boston,
Oh,
because
yeah,
this has always been a team that's lacked depth up forward, and it's been a weird year. Just to put it into perspective, I'm always afraid to start goalies against Boston in fantasy, because I'm always frightened that first power play will light my guys up, or that the perfection line will light me up. But this year, they haven't really scored very much. Like, in general,
No.
Like, I haven't been afraid to start goalies against them, and it's mainly because they're a one-line team. Like, that second line is dog shit, and their third line's dog shit, and their fourth line's dog shit. So the fact they got Hall now makes that second line a little more formidable, right? David Krejci, Taylor Hall, Craig Smith. It's a little more of an average to above average second line. So I think it's a huge win for them, and it's just a 1-year deal. He's off the books at the end of the year, and you didn't give up much, very much. So I'm a big fan of the deal for Boston. Although, like you guys, I won't be cheering for them because of the fact Taylor Hall's on their team.
I have to add some breaking news. Just a funny little tidbit here. As of tonight, Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar both have goals in a 3-0 win against the Islanders.
There you go. So
On
that's
the parade.
Lazar is on the board. Let's go.
So that's
The
now
Burger
two.
Man.
That's 2 goals for Taylor Hall in
Boston is
3
playing-
games.
Yep.
Boston is paying Charlie Coyle $5.2 million until 2026.
Jesus.
Yeah, I
Jesus
didn't even know. I was
Christ.
just looking at
No wonder they have no
cap.
money. No wonder they're
seriously.
yeah.
Oh God.
He's
But no,
the next Matthews.
that's good. I am.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the Curtis Lazar guy. I mean, he as everyone knows,
Great
he is
character.
he's kind of an energizer bunny, kind of in the dressing room. So, it should bode well for that team.
Before we move on here, Nick,
yeah.
Favorite memory of Curtis Lazar, Hamburglar run
Of course.
in Ottawa. They're throwing hamburgers onto the ice, and Curtis Lazar picks one up, takes a big bite out of it, holds it up for the crowd, and skates off the ice. It was so great. Oh, God, we need this guy on the Leafs. No, actually, the Canadians. We need this guy on the Canadians.
The Canadians do need
The Leafs have enough good character. They don't need any more.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle, I'm going to let you choose where we go from here. We have Montreal, we have Pittsburgh, we have Colorado. Which team do you want to address first? Because each team kind of made consequential deals here.
Yeah, let's do Colorado.
Okay, Colorado it is. Let's pull this up. Colorado acquires Devin Dubnyk for. I don't even have the return.
I got it. I got it here.
What is the? What? Give me the terms of the deal. Oh yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they get Devin Dubnyk. San Jose gets Greg Patterin and a 5th round pick. So not much. Very cheap.
So
Great trade.
yeah.
Great trade.
Why?
Joe Sakic. That's why.
Well, at that and the fact that he recognized, oh fuck, I can't have a situation like I had last year. So he went in and got Devin Dubnyk, who's a very competent goalie. Honestly, fantastic trade. Hats off to Joe. Like, just an excellent trade, because he's like, I don't care what happens this year. Whatever happened last year isn't happening this year. So that's why I'm making this deal.
Yeah. So, Philip Grubauer, as you guys know, he's on the COVID protocol. I think he's got COVID because he's out for 2 weeks. It's happening. It's happened.
Sounds
to me,
like
sadly.
COVID.
Yeah. So he's out, and he was out last year. As you guys know, the whole Michael Hutchinson situation, which was a fucking nightmare for me. Nick was over that night. I was almost in tears. And what we now have is a solid number 1 goalie. All things going well, right? And then we have a legitimate NHL backup in Devin Dubnyk. He had some very solid years in Minnesota over the last 6 or 7 years. And then you have this Jonas Johansson guy who's not a great backup in my mind, but he's a step up from Hutchinson. He can be competent. So now you've got that 3 layers of goaltending that I think that, like the Leafs have learned, and like the Leafs have done as well with Riddick, that you really want to insulate yourself with, because you want to avoid that disaster situation. Because, hey, if Grubauer was healthy, we could be talking about a Colorado Stanley Cup. You never know. So you got to insulate yourself with guys like Dubnyk, who's a great veteran guy, Saskatchewan guy, which I love about him. And you know what? What did you pay for him? It's ridiculous. You paid nothing. Who is Greg Patterin? He's inconsequential. Like this is a no-brainer deal, and it makes me as an Avs fan feel very at ease, and I can sleep at night knowing that I can't see that right-handed catching motherfucker Michael Hutchinson in my goaltending net.
Hey, that's Maple Leaf Michael Hutchinson to you, sir.
You don't want to see him either.
Oh, I don't want to see his name on the roster sheet, let alone him playing.
Exactly.
Oh.
The one thing I'll say here is I think you guys might be giving Devin Dubnyk a little more credit than he deserves. I mean, I've watched this guy. I've watched this guy play a lot of games for my San Jose Sharks, and he's not very good. And I saw him play a lot of games for the Minnesota Wild, and he was the only reason that team wasn't very good. Defensively, that team was the best defensive team in the league. They allowed the least shots against per game, the least high danger scoring chances against per game, and that goalie did nothing to help them. Not to mention he's like 34 years old now, and I think his best years are behind him. So I don't really like this move. And I think Joe Sakic misevaluated the goalie market, and I don't think Devin Dubnyk's going to be a very good goalie for them come the playoffs.
Well, who else was he going to get? I guess Riddick, but
Riddick would have been a better fit. One of the Columbus goalies would have been a better fit. Either Elvis or yep. So I'm not too happy about this one as a guy who wants to see Colorado succeed.
But Nick, I think what Joe did was, for whatever reason, and I really respect this, and it makes you feel good as an Avs fan. Not only did he not touch a top prospect, but he didn't touch even a second rounder with.
It doesn't matter, but it's not about for them. It's not about preserving assets anymore. Like you've already drafted the studs. You've already drafted Makar. You've already drafted Byram. You've already drafted Newhook. You're going all in, and this doesn't look all in to me.
But Nick, the fact that their core pieces are still so young and have great contracts. This is not the middle of the window. This is the start of the window. So I mean. Maybe the market wasn't right to really solidify a hard push at the deadline and give up assets. I mean, their window is it's here to stay for a long time now. So maybe it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah, maybe. I hope to God this doesn't hopefully this guy doesn't even have to play a game in the playoffs. And this conversation we're having is inconsequential. But if he does, I'm just saying, like, you guys are sitting there going, "Oh my God, he won't be as bad as Michael Hutchison." Well, you might have to think twice about that one.
Maybe you're underselling the guy.
898 save percentage. Not very flat.
Yeah, but over 17 games though. That's not a big sample size. And it was San Jose. San Jose sucked.
I've seen this guy's best days are behind him. I don't like the goalie. I've seen him give up weak goals too often. I don't like him. But we'll
San
see.
Jose sucked when he played there.
Says the guy who owns Martin Jones.
I'm desperate. What do you want from me? I'm desperate for anything right now.
That's sad.
I heard it on a podcast that I should pick him up. And it's not this
Well,
podcast.
don't unsubscribe from that podcast. Please, promise me that.
He didn't win today, did he?
He gave up
No.
3 goals on 6 shots. That's what he did.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no is right.
That's not good.
Okay. What else did Colorado do? Oh, yeah. So they added a guy by the name of Patrick Nemeth, who used to play for them. We talked about before the show briefly. I'm very fond of the player. Like, whenever I would catch Colorado games that he played in, like, he always made solid defensive plays. And the guy's he's pretty legit. Like, he's just a steady defenseman. Like, he's not a big puck moving guy, not a big power play guy. But as far as just, guys who can play in the 5-6 role and make really solid defensive plays, I think any Colorado Avalanche fan would tell you they miss him, and he's going to play a big role for them. So I'm a big fan of the Nemeth deal, and then they also pick up Carl Soderberg, who they had, I believe, last year on the roster, and that they got from Blackhawks. So what do you think of those 2 more supplementary pieces?
You know what I'll hear as well say about Nemeth? Nemeth scares me because it makes me think that maybe Bowen Byram won't be playing.
No, I looked at the depth chart and it looks like they're going to have room for both of them.
Okay, good. I mean,
I don't know. I'm on cap friendly right now. They'll definitely have room for both of them.
I don't know. He doesn't really move the needle for me. This Nemeth guy. I mean, I guess he's still
right?
relatively youngish. Yeah, and it's all free stuff. So it's just a depth defenseman. Because let's be honest, Colorado is one of those teams that they get hit with the injury bug like you wouldn't believe. Like them in Pittsburgh, for whatever reason, they always get smashed with this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's always good to have. And then Soderberg, he's a 35-ish point guy on an average year, 35 to 40. That's good. It's a good guy to have on the 4th line kicking around. It looks like he's played in Chicago, Arizona, and then again another guy you're bringing back. He used to play on Colorado back in his heyday. So they've brought 2 guys back, and they've added Devin Dubnyk. I think that's kind of cool. I like that. It's not going to move the needle so much as insulate and protect from potential disaster. So. Yeah, it's a good move. Joe made subtle, but smart moves in my opinion. He didn't have to swing for the fences and get a big name because the depth is already there. So very, very nice, very nice.
Right. Whereas when you look at their division rivals, Vegas, they only made 1 move, and it was for Matthias Janmark for a 2nd and a 3rd.
Which is ridiculous. I think I'd rather have Soderberg than Janmark, and stupid ass move.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little as the Vegas fan here.
Vegas was very underwhelmed at the trade deadline. I thought they were
they're
be
usually
more
not
aggressive.
They're always aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they wanted Foligno. I think they were gonna get Nick Foligno, and Dubas strip him of him.
Oh, dude,
nice.
I can't even imagine like a Vegas with Nick Foligno. Like that's just like, holy fuck! They don't need any more good.
Nick Foligno and Mark Stone on your first line.
Oh god,
God!
Oh.
What a nightmare to play against.
That would be a Nick line. That's a Nick line.
2 fucking pricks on the ice.
That
Oh,
is
man.
such a fucking.
Honestly, if they got Nick Foligno, I would just literally empty my line of credit on them to win the cup. Who's beating them in the playoffs at that line? Are you kidding me? McKinnon would be tied up in a ball behind the net.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to have a fucking PhD to watch that line.
Oh my god, seriously.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Okay, we move on to Pittsburgh. In one of the boldest and most unexpected moves of the deadline, the Kings traded Jeff Carter to the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Kings received a conditional 2022 third-round pick and a conditional 2023 fifth. The Penguins came under new management this season, but the man calling the shots, Ron Hextall, has a long history with the Kings and a good relationship with Carter. His name had in previous trade deadlines. Even though he had a no movement clause, the expectation was he had developed his roots in Southern California and wasn't interested in playing anywhere. But the chance to compete for a Stanley Cup and an organization now run by Hextall may have shifted the narrative. Of course, as Pierre Maguire has mentioned, the best World Junior team ever assembled, 2005, Grand Forks, North Dakota. This man played with Sidney Crosby on that team, as well as playing with Crosby in 2014 when they won in Sochi. So quite a bit of
History.
quite a bit of history there, and it should be interesting. Of course, Carter. He rewarded the Kings with 8 goals and 5 assists in 20 playoff games during their first Stanley Cup. And in their second cup, he was an even stronger contributor, 25 points in 26 playoff games, including 10 goals. So that's who Pittsburgh is acquiring in this deal.
I don't know. Like I at first I thought, okay, maybe this is a good signing especially because of the history that Crosby and Carter have together. But I think like I watch my fair share of hockey in the East, and it always seems to me that the Penguins are on. And I see the bottom 6 of the Penguins, and the thing about them is that they're not very creative when they play. I don't know if Jeff Carter adds the creativity element to them that they need. I don't know. I think it was I think that move has Brian Burke written all over it, But I don't know. I don't know if it's what the Penguins need for a long playoff run. I think the Penguins are actually exceeding expectations right now. Like they're doing better than I thought they were. I didn't even have them as a playoff team in the East this year, but I also didn't anticipate Philly being as bad as they were. But I don't know. I don't know if it moves the needle for Philly in the playoffs. I think the Islanders are better than them. I think Boston is better than them. I think Washington right now is better than them. So I don't know. I don't think the Jeff Carter move does much to help a bottom 6. So I think it's not very creative. They have a lot of the same type of player in their bottom 6. And I don't think that's conducive to playoff success, especially in this division.
Yeah. For my analysis of this trade, it's more so my questioning of the player. I mean, I want to ask Nick the question, what does this guy have left? Like, what are we getting here in Pittsburgh, Nick? Like, I know he's got a huge pedigree and I like all that stuff, but I see the recent seasons and I'm very not impressed. So help me out here. Is this just a third line, forget about it kind of guy, or can we see this guy next to one of the 2 big boys?
I think he's a boutique hire. He's there to fill a very particular role. Good face-off man, can win defensive zone draws when you need him to. Good offensive instincts. Good shooter, always among one of the most highest shooters in fantasy hockey. And a guy, like I said, with very good chemistry with Sid, and the veteran experience they need to win in the playoffs. So, I mean, yeah, his best days are behind him. I'm not going to sit here and say you're getting the same Jeff Carter who put up a point per game pace in their second cup run. But I do think he still has much to give. And I think playing in a winning environment and a winning culture may add some exuberance to his play. And I think we've seen that time and time again with lots of veterans when they go to a winning culture. And I think you'll see that. I think Sid has a way of bringing out the best in these veterans when they come over to his team. And I think you're going to see that in Pittsburgh. It's hard to quantify and put your fingers on one or two things of his game that I think will translate. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I know the guy, I know his work ethic, I know his overall, makeup, and I just think he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, well, if all those things check out like you say they do, then if this guy turns out to be like a Jason Spezza type, where he comes in, he's looking to win now, and he's not the same player, but he's still got this, desire and hunger to win. Then I'm all on board for this deal. I think it's awesome. What Pittsburgh lacks outside of their star players is what you'll notice is you've got Gensel, Crosby, Malkin. Sure, you've got Rust, and then you just have a lot of, honestly, guys you've never heard of.
Kapanen.
Sure, Kapanen, but then you've got like Chucky, Weedle, and yeah, you've just got a bunch of random guys. So it's good to get this bit of experience in there, especially for that for the bottom six.
Do you think
I like it.
Do you think Kapanen's one of the worst character guys in the league?
I think he's top 20.
Yes,
sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Hopefully he just kind of gets bored in Pittsburgh and becomes a regular ass guy. I don't know.
I thought Sid was going to fix him, but I don't know. His Instagram post, he still seems like a bit of a prick.
Oh no. I bet those two just don't talk in the room at all.
I bet he just says, listen, when you're on the ice, I don't care what you do off the ice, just try to fucking score. That's it. Yeah. I never thought that was a good fit to begin with.
No, it's weird. It's still weird. But he's been pretty good there. Honestly, no, he's been pretty good there.
Yeah, he's been okay.
It's been kind of surprising. Like, you notice him out there, and he's filling the role that he wanted to.
He's still not worth the first round pick, but
oh no. That's crazy.
That is funny now to think back and go, Kapanen went for a higher price than Taylor Hall.
Yeah, seriously, imagine telling someone that like 2 years ago. They think you were nuts.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, to the shotgun trades. Kyle, we'll start off with Montreal. Let's be quick about these. They acquired John Merrill from Detroit for a 5th-round pick in 2021 and in Hayden Verbeek, as well as Eric Gustafson from the Flyers for a 7th-round pick in 2022. So what do you think? Mark Bergevin adding 2 depth defensemen, and that's it?
No. Wrong.
What else did they do?
No.
Stahl. No, we talked about Stahl last time.
With the Merrill and the Verbeek thing, yes. But this Eric Gustafson guy, there's some upside here. I mean, this guy's a power play specialist. One might call him a power play wizard. He could turn out to be a pretty valuable special teams player. Recently got 60 points in 79 games. Yeah, 60 points. Where the hell did that come from? On Chicago's power play about 2 years ago when they handed him the keys to the car instead of Duncan Keith. Now, he didn't get that same deployment in Philly, but I think what Montreal is saying is, okay, let's give up a 7th rounder and maybe get a guy that can juice up one of our power plays. I think that's an excellent move. The other 2 guys, I mean, Merrill, I think you can maybe play, and the other guy, forget about it. He's spare parts.
I think Merrill was a good addition. I think he's a solid defensive defenseman, which is something that the Habs need. That Gustafsson deal, I don't understand that at all. Like, well, why do they need him? Why did they just keep Victor Mete?
You know what you find with Mete is he's got the skill, he's got the skating, but he can just never put a play together. Yeah, he can't put a play together. I don't know why. It just never clicked for him.
I didn't like that comment by Bergevin when he's like, "Oh, I could have got a 1st-round pick for him," and he was joking around. I'm like, "Come on, that's a guy's career."
Right. Yeah.
Poor character on Mark Bergevin.
I thought it was funny as hell, but
poor character.
Maybe the guy's desperate. The guy must be feeling some heat right now.
Well, of course, because of this is literally, as we were talking about, a boomer bust season for him. It's either if they make the playoffs and lose 1st round, get spanked by the Leafs or whoever they play, he's gone. If they don't make the playoffs somehow, because they still got like 4 or 5 games against Calgary, they don't make the playoffs, he's gone. So really, the only thing that will save his job is like a playoff round win.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
But is that what the Montreal Canadiens want to be? Just a one playoff? Actually, I don't know what's winning around like. I don't know. So maybe they do want to be that. I don't know.
I honestly, the Habs have been pissing me off lately. I don't know if we've got time for this segment, but
oh, we definitely do. What do you mean? We had nothing else to do. We're locked down.
Man, I've been really looking at myself in the mirror lately with this team because things are falling apart.
So as a Leaf fan, I will say this about the Habs. I think they're a very good 5-on-5 team. Like even the other night on was it Monday when they played, they came to play that game and the Leafs didn't, but they're a very good 5-on-5 team. I just there's something about like guys like Anderson and Gallagher are good players, but there's just no one on that team that's like a game breaker. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like someone who like when you need a goal and you're down, you're like, okay, throw him out there on the ice. Anderson's a great, terrific player, but I think he's more of a complementary piece than someone you can build around, you know?
Yeah, no, he's not a star. He's not a star.
No, like Anderson would be like perfect on the Leafs. Imagine him on the top line with Matthews and Marner.
The problem is the Habs never truly bottomed out. In the last 10 years, they've never truly bottomed out.
That's the problem.
And it's starting to catch up to them. And like you said, I'm frustrated with the whole Kotkaniemi at third thing. That's still, I'm still up at night. Shea Weber is like almost done, boys. Like this guy is
agree.
Out of gas, man. He's out of gas. He can't keep up. I'm telling you, he cannot keep up. It's becoming apparent. And this Eric Stahl guy, the guy who got that overtime winner in his first game, he's a ghost. He's a ghost. He's not he actually, I have a quote for you. I took a screenshot. Now my phone died. But you know your boy Grant McCagg or whatever his name is?
I fucking hate that guy.
He went off about Eric Stahl, and then he seriously suggested he might have medical issues. He's playing so bad. He's like, I think Eric Stahl needs to go to a doctor ASAP because it looks like he's got some medical issues out there. It's like, wow. That's where we are. And then
initially,
the whole fan base.
The trade was good. Like I'm like,
so
okay, like this, this guy's gonna win faceoffs. Like he could be a useful piece in the playoffs. But after that first game against Edmonton, man, has he looked bad. Like just like awful.
Yeah, and taking Gallagher out of there has really sent things into just a really negative place.
Well, you miss not only the play of Gallagher on the ice because he's a pest and he gets to the net and he's everything you want in a power forward, but the character of the guy, right? The room misses him, right? So it's a big loss to the team. I think like I said, like, the Leafs are probably going to play the Habs in the first round. Like that's probably the last team I want to face just for, watching purposes. Cause I'll get so goddamn nervous watching the games. But also again,
too emotional.
Exactly. The Habs play the Leafs very well at 5-on-5. Where they lose the battle most of the time, and obviously notwithstanding this, 1 for 41 power play streak at the special teams. The Leafs are, when it comes to the power play and penalty kill, it's men against boys in the power play between the Leafs power play and the Habs penalty kill, usually, right?
Not lately.
Not lately. The Leafs power play right now, I could be on it, and I haven't taken as much effectiveness as some of the guys. But it'll be an interesting series. It just, I think the lack of the game breaker will come back to haunt the Habs because let's face it, Carey Price isn't Carey Price anymore. Jake Allen's not that good. And the defense is, like you said, Shea Weber, man, like he had a great start to the year. And then by the middle part, like, I don't know, like the defense doesn't move the puck up. And I guess that's why they went after and got Gustafsson. I just think that, maybe Mete would have been the same fit without giving someone up. And like, I watched a couple of highlight videos that guy Grant McCagg posted himself actually about Gustafsson. Like he's just awful defensively, like truly a tire fire in his own end. Yeah. Is that going to help you against Matthews and Marner in the playoffs? Like,
well, the only way you could use him is if you make him a seventh defenseman in any given lineup and you only play him on second power play. So, I mean, I don't know how valuable that is, but you really can't rely on him even for a third pairing in my mind.
I don't know. I'm still convinced there's so much parity in this league and there's so much bullshit I'm accustomed to seeing come every spring, the playoffs, that I would not, as much as I'm high on the Leafs and we've talked about it all show, I would still not be surprised if they lost to Montreal or Winnipeg in the playoffs. I just wouldn't
You're
be.
crazy.
I couldn't see them losing to
No,
Edmonton.
listen,
I
think it'll be
but-
a tough series, but like I don't know if they're going to lose to either of those.
They
two
can
teams.
lose.
Like,
They can lose in
they can-
game
of
7.
course
They
they
can lose. They can lose in game
but I don't
7
think they will.
to Montreal, where Brendan Gallagher
Yeah.
scores a game winner in overtime in game
They
7.
could, but I don't know if it'll get to that point. I think the Leafs. No offense to the Habs, obviously, I think the Leafs are just a better team than Montreal, and the Leafs are a better team. The only thing that Winnipeg has in the Leafs is goaltending. That's it. And which could be huge in the playoff series. But Winnipeg is god awful in their own end. And the Leafs top 6 is better than the Jets top 6 by a mile. It's not close.
It's so close.
It's pretty
It's not,
debatable.
It's not, though. It's not.
Pierre would debate.
Matthews
Yeah, did
and
you see?
Marner-
Did you see Mitch Marner look like a dum dum last night? That was fun to watch.
That was a really bad
Oh,
play. From
I gotta
Marner
see
last-
this.
I agree. Listen, listen,
On which
players-
goal?
See this, Kyle?
On which goal?
Watch the
third-
Nick
fourth
Ehlers goal. Please watch the Nick Ehlers goal.
Okay.
He skated backwards into his own end, and Marner didn't make a good defensive play there. But Matthews and Marner are literally better than any forward on the Jets. There's not one player on the Jets that is better than either Matthews or Marner in the top 6. Not even close. Dubois is like, he's good one game, and then the other games he looks like shit. Shifley is a good player, but he's nowhere close to Matthews or Marner.
Come
and who else?
on.
Not even close. Not even remotely close. There's not even not even in the same ballpark. There's superstars, and then there's like the Shifley category. He's just outside.
No. Okay. You have an argument there, but I think Shifley's underrated.
He might be under, maybe. I don't know. I think you guys hype him up too much because he's a hockey nerd. Yeah, so is Jason fucking Spezza.
I don't know, man. Like
Come on, man.
Shifley is like a undisputed top center in the entire league.
Yeah.
Blake Wheeler is a 35-40 goal scorer with character through the ceiling. Nick Ehlers is a speedster. Maybe he'd probably be the fastest guy in that series.
Yep.
Maybe,
Kyle,
probably.
Kyle Connor has emerged as a star in this league.
He's a star.
It's again like John Tavares, William Nylander. It's
and
just
then
not
and
close.
then we're only
What
a
about
year
the back
removed.
end?
And then we're only a year removed from Pierre-Luc Dubois single-handedly sticking it to the Leafs.
No,
So,
you know
like,
what?
Yeah, in a
I would take the
5-game
Jets.
series in a COVID year, not even close.
I
won't
would
bet
take
you
the
guys
Jets
any
top
money.
6.
No, let's do it. Not even close. I don't want that loser Dubois on my team. I don't want that fucking
Oh,
hick Kyle
Joe.
Connor on my team. I don't want any of those guys on my team. Fuck that.
Hey,
I
will
take Shifley only because he's I like Shifley. I just don't think he's close to fucking Matthews or Martins because he isn't objectively. But that's besides the point.
Oh boy.
That's besides the point.
Come
But no, I'm
on,
definitely
man.
taking the Leafs top 6. Tavares is just as good as any of those players. Nylander's is just as good as any of those players. I'm not touched. No, not even close. And Matthews, right? The only player in the NHL right now that's better than Austin Matthews is Connor McDavid, and that's it. There's
And
no
Nathan
one
McKinnon.
close to him. Not
Nathan McKinnon.
No, it's still
He's
Matthews.
better. He's
No,
way
he's
better.
not. McKinnon can skate better than Matthews. I'll give him that. But the defensive game and the 200-foot game, I'll still take Matthews. Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league right now, and he's a better defensive center than McKinnon. The only
We're
player I
not,
take is McDavid.
We're not even 3 years removed from Mark Scheifele's nearly Conn Smythe winning 20 points in 17 games to the Winnipeg Jets Western Finals trip.
Oh, if ifs
Do
and
not
buts
forget
were
about that.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, my friend. then
You
the Leafs
cannot
would be-
forget about- My point is Scheifele has not only shown up in the playoffs, but he's been a nearly Conn Smythe winning
Listen,
player.
they're probably not going to play the Leafs in the first round. They're going to have to play Edmonton. So
They're
going to
play them in the second round, though.
Make them deal with Edmonton, and yeah, bring me the Jets. I'm not scared of that back end at all.
Honestly?
Aside from Josh Morrissey and the offensive escapades of Neil Pionk, when these two teams are put together and there's full lineups on both sides, the Leafs are a better team. They have controlled the analytics battle for almost all the games they've played this year, including last night's game, where aside from a couple of mistakes, and yes, Nick, the Marner blunder, who, by the way, Marner will probably get Selke votes this year. Shifley won't. That's besides the point.
Not after that
Marner
play.
will not.
No, the one bad defensive play he's played all
I've
year.
never seen such
The
a bad
team-
play all season. That
It was
was so bad.
It was a bad
look
play.
for poor kid. Poor kid.
It's a terrible look.
Listen,
Terrible.
it's a bad luck. It's a bad luck. But you know what? I'm not scared of the Winnipeg Jets. I'm more scared of Montreal, to be honest with you.
I think.
I'm
well,
serious.
that's crazy.
Only
if you
because
ask
of the,
me.
only because of the fact that I think
The
if
bullshit
Carey
of
Price
Montreal.
turns if Carey Price turns it on, it's over. The Winnipeg Jets do not scare me whatsoever. I think the Leafs are a better team than them. They've been lucky. A couple of games they played there. The Winnipeg Jets, out of the meetings, they played good hockey in like 2 games out of the 6 meetings. The other games they played, the Leafs deserved to win those games. That's about it. They played well in 2 games.
Come on,
also,
man.
that fucking play when Dubois smashed into his own player before Matthews scored that goal, fantastic. That's who he is. He's just he shows up sometimes, doesn't show up other times. He's an inconsistent piece of shit. He's played 5 good games against the Leafs, and this guy's anointed as the next Patrice Bergeron. Give me a fucking break. If that was anyone in the Leafs, everyone would be like, oh, they're overrating him. Give me a break. Everyone likes the Jets because they're an underdog story. No one wants to like the Leafs because no one likes the Leafs. That's the problem. These guys, they're an underdog story. This team is woeful defensively. Woeful. Who the fuck do they have outside of Josh Morrissey that's a good defenseman?
They got a lot of guys. They got Jordy Ben.
Oh, well, you know what? When Jordy Ben shows up in the playoffs, watch out.
This guy, I'll tell you what.
Matthew's going to have some problems with him.
Man, this top 6 is unreal. I'm telling you, this Andrew Kopp, you cannot discount Andrew Kopp.
Fucking break. Yeah, they're good. Again, they're good players, but they're not John Tavares. They're not Austin Matthews, and they're definitely not
Tavares. No, I would take so many of these guys. I would take Kyle Connor 100 times over John Tavares.
No, you
100.
wouldn't.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, I would.
Me too.
John Tavares. No, you would not for not the
yes.
center position.
Absolutely.
Okay, come on. You take Kyle Connor as a center over John Tavares?
No, like
At
just Kyle Connor, the player,
No.
just the player. They have center depth like you wouldn't believe. Stastny could be your 3rd line center.
No, yeah. I don't even know if Stastny would crack the Leafs lineup.
Okay, come on. He's like a way better Kerfoot.
Oh, sure, yeah. We'll put him on our 3rd line behind Tavares.
Yeah, Stastny, would be behind Tavares. I agree.
You guys overrate Winnipeg way too much, man. I'm telling you. None of the underlying numbers suggest that Winnipeg is a good team. None of them
These guys are to be feared. I'm telling you.
Listen. I hope the series happens so we can solve this long talk we've had, because this isn't the first time we've had this conversation, and we could keep going forever and ever about it. But like you said, Joe, we do need it. We do need it for this show.
I'm just saying, I think you guys have to temper your expectations about this Jets team. I hear it.
I think you got to temper your expectations about the Leafs. I'm saying the Leafs are playing exactly the way they should be playing. They're first in the North Division for a reason. They're the best team in Canada. And again, like people always say, oh, wait till the playoffs come around. But you played a team so many times this year. What new things are the Jets going to do to stifle the Leafs? They don't play a good defensive game. Paul Maurice is a fucking idiot. So I don't understand. I don't know what you guys are.
Joe.
Yes, sir.
I'm a diehard Habs fan, and I'm telling you, you need to worry about the Jets more than the Habs.
I disagree. I just okay, maybe more than the Habs, sure, that's fine, but the bar's pretty low there.
And the Oilers, because no one's scared of the Oilers, right?
No one's.
If you're a Leafs fan,
I think Edmonton and Winnipeg are paper tigers.
Okay. I think you got the blue blinders on, my friend. That's what you have.
I don't have any of the blue blinders on. I've watched the Leafs play Winnipeg 6 times this year. The Jets have played well in about 2 of those games.
This is the regular season.
Oh my! But they played it. Okay, but again, that's what I'm saying. You placed an opponent so many times, especially this year. What is going to change? What is Winnipeg's biggest flaw? The back end. Nick, you said it yourself. If they don't add like a defenseman or something like that, they're going to have problems. They didn't add anybody except for Jordy Ben. Jordy Ben doesn't really move the needle. I'm sorry to say, he's pretty shit. He's a pretty shitty defenseman. Doesn't really move the needle. I'm not worried about Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander going against that decor. I'm just simply not worried about it. The only X factor Winnipeg has, and again, this is where I will slightly concede my worry, is Hellebuck. Hellebuck is a Vezina goaltender. He's the best goalie in the league. Yeah, that scares me. But that forward core out, I mean, again, I would put the Matthews and Marner are better than anyone in that top 6. So therefore, they have at least have a better top 6 than Winnipeg. 2 of their players are better than the entirety of that top 6. There's not one person on that team that's better than Marner, and there's not one person on that team that's better than Matthews.
I
don't know.
I badly want to see that series, and I also badly want.
We've gone off the rails here. Get the show back in order.
I need to see. I need to see Leafs and Habs because I want to see shots of Dubas in his press box and Bergevin in his press box back and forth for 7 games. That's what I want to see.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, I want to see that beautiful hair from Bergevin and
Yes,
Dubas in those glasses, pacing nervously. Him and Shanny up there.
it'll be great.
I want to see a Shanny Bergevin cross box fight. Who do you think would win
awesome. That? Oh,
Bergevin.
Bergie.
Really?
Not
I don't know.
close.
I think Shanny's a pretty tough guy. I don't know. Maybe kick his ass. We're gonna argue on that too.
I know, but you can't involve the president. It has to be GM on GM.
Oh, GM on GM. Okay, so Dubas would kick Dubas. Bergevin would kick Dubas' ass. Wouldn't be close.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, shotguns.
Okay.
Lou Lamoriello gets Palmieri and Zajac for a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick and a couple of prospects. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, good trade for the Isles, I think. It's so Lou Lamoriello to get Zajac. Like
Yes.
that. Like if there's one person, like okay, like the Travis Zajac factor, that was all Lou. But like no, I think Palmieri is a good fit for the Islanders. I think they need scoring, and I think Palmieri brings that. No, it's a good trade for Lou.
Oh, boy, oh boy. No, this is a great trade for the Islanders. They're so darn good and they're so darn deep now. If you think of like a Pajot on a third line, and now you've got Palmieri down there. Now, I didn't know Palmieri was this friggin' good. For the last 6 years, he's gotten at least 24 goals in each and every year. He's like a 50 point guy. Like this is a guy that legitimately deserves for you to pay a first round pick. Like this guy, this is a team to be trifled with, man. This is amazing. There's talent like between Washington and fucking and the Islanders. You know, they're good, man. They're really, really good.
They are.
And it's a great fit. Like he'll fit into that system very quickly. He'll acclimatize very quickly, and then it'll just be an awesome fit.
Yeah, the issue, the only thing I have with the issue I have with the Islanders is just the division they play in is obviously I think objectively the toughest division in the league. So, you know, playing against like guys like Washington and even Pittsburgh in the playoffs might be tough for them to get out. But I think this signing just bolsters their offensive capabilities in the playoffs, because one of the issues obviously the Islanders have had, and one of the criticisms that they don't know how to score. Although I don't think that's the case. I think they're just a very good balanced team. I hate the way they fucking play hockey, but they're a very good balanced team. So yeah, no, I think this does nothing but help the Islanders offensively, and this is going to be good in the playoffs when they play a team like Washington when they need a big goal. You know, Kyle Palmieri he's always been a good goal scorer, reliable and dependable, and I think this is a great pickup for Lou.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the one area I disagree, is that every division has a juggernaut you need to get over, right? The Central has Tampa. The West has Vegas and Colorado. The Canadian division has Toronto. There is no juggernaut in this East division. It's wide open. Mm-hmm. So I do think there is a pathway carved out there for the Islanders. And I think that they have all the right to go all in and bank on Palmieri. So
yeah, agreed. Great trade for Lou.
Mm-hmm.
Sam
Bennett traded to the Panthers for a 2022 second round pick and Emil Heineman.
Was Sam Bennett not a fourth overall pick, third overall pick?
I believe he went fourth right behind Leon Draisaitl.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine if the Oilers blew that and picked Sam Bennett? Oh
God.
I'm sorry.
Well, Buffalo took Sam Reinhart over Draisaitl.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's going to go down in history. History.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, does this help Florida at all? Like, he's pretty shit. No, like he's not good at all.
Bona fide playoff performer. Guy who's known not to play in the regular season, but in the playoffs, consistently productive in the playoffs.
Yes.
he's had one good year in the past.
I have a bold prediction is that Florida just got a guy that is about to be very, very important for them.
Yep. Agreed.
Wow, he was a Kingston Frontenac too, Sam. Then I didn't know that.
There you go.
They did pay a sizable chunk to get him, but like Nick said, he shows up. He actually led Calgary in playoff points last time they were at the dance.
So
with
his
8 points in 10 games. But his style of play is just very well suited for that structure. And Florida, man, like throw him in on the third line.
Like, who would have thought Florida was this good? Like, I didn't see that coming at all from Florida. Like, I didn't think they would be like a contender, but they're playing very well. No, I don't know if I trust any of their goaltending. Like, do you, like, Nick, as a goalie, like, you trust Bob or Spencer Knight or Dreiger?
The story there is that Bobrovsky is the much inferior goalie. You look at all the statistics. Darren Dreger is a much better goalie. And he should play. Like, if we're objectively evaluating them, Darren Dreger should be their starter moving forward.
Don't call him that.
That said, they will not do that because at the end of the day, with these goalie situations, you follow the contract. The contract dictates who plays.
And the unfortunate thing with Florida is that it's all smoke and mirrors because they don't have a shot. They don't have a shot against Carolina or Tampa because they lost Aaron Ekblad, and you cannot win. Yeah. You cannot come out of this division without Ekblad. So this is all smoke and mirrors.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Here's what they did to potentially fill that hole. Another trade, they acquired Brandon Montour, who used to be a highly coveted prospect in Anaheim for a third-round pick. So this one caught my eye too. I thought this was another shrewd acquisition by Florida.
Yeah, I mean, and it's trying to create that stopgap for the Ekblad thing. And you know what? I applaud them for trying. Again, nothing will stop that hole. Nothing will block that hole. And it's not going to happen. Like, I look at Carolina, I look at Tampa, they're not beating either of those teams without Ekblad. And it's just, good on them for trying. You have to do that, but you're not going to get anywhere from it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough without your number one defenseman, no? Like, that's just, especially in that division.
He was having like a near Norris season.
Yeah.
And that's why they got to where they were. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough.
I still commend them, though. I still commend that new GM there, Billy Zito.
Italian.
You get the defenseman there. You get Montour to try to potentially fill that gap. You get Sam Bennett, the defensive. The playoff performer that he is, and then they signed this Nikita Gusev out of New Jersey. So those are three shrewd acquisitions in the span of about a week.
How about Carter Verhaeghe too?
Pay off. Oh yeah, he's been great. Yeah. I wish I picked him up. I wish I drafted him or picked him up. He wasn't even drafted.
The Leafs. I'm pretty sure the Leafs had him, didn't they? At one point.
I can't
actually.
Remember.
Yeah, I think they did.
They did.
Yeah, I think they did.
Okay, final trade. The man who kicked his wife at his own wedding, Adam Gaudette, former Hobie Baker Award winner, gets traded to Chicago. What did you make of this?
Not much. Like, what do you want? What do you want, man?
Yeah, this is like a useless trade.
You know what I will say?
He's a Hobie Award winner, Hobie Baker.
Yeah, so is Jimmy Vesey.
What I will say is I know a lot of Canucks fans are kind of missing this guy. Like, they're going to really miss this guy. I don't know. They seem to really like him. So I guess you could say Chicago wins the deal. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not very familiar with the guy. All I know is from that wedding video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's literally the only reason I had him here.
So him and Patty Kane are going to get along just great.
Yeah, I think so. Watch that to be a dynamic power play duo.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, boy.
Okay. Very quickly before we wrap up the trades, winners and losers. You can pick one. You can pick more than one. Entirely up to you. I don't want to put you guys on the spot, so I guess I'll go first. I have 4 winners. I have Florida, based on those little moves they made. I think that was really, really shrewd acquisitions there. I like them a lot. I have Washington, just because I think they got the best player of the whole deadline, and I don't really care what they gave up. The fact they got him is enough for me. I have Columbus, because they add another 2 first-rounders, giving them 3 in that upcoming draft. What they make of them will be the big question, but it is still 3 first-round draft picks. And then other than that, I have the Boston Bruins, who finally get a bona fide second-line offensive forward. So those are my winners. Who do you guys have for your winners?
I'll jump in there. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, so I got Florida. Like you said, the Bennett move, the Montour move, just, they didn't pay a ton for these guys, but they're logical moves. And it just seems like they were, key guys for the positions they were going after. Seemingly very intelligent moves there. The Islanders I really liked for the whole Palmieri deal, just giving themselves that added depth there. Again, the first, as we've agreed, is a little bit of a throwaway kind of first rounder. And I thought they did a wonderful job just shoring up the depth. They're a formidable team. And then the Leafs, for all the reasons we discussed, they've kind of checked every box apart from the Ben Hutton thing. If I delete that from my head, I love the Nick Foligno thing. It kind of creates a sense of, there's no longer things I can criticize as a professional Leafs critique, and then that insulation with David Riddick. So Florida, Islanders, and Leafs, they saw big wins, big gains in this trade deadline.
Yeah, I would say I think Tampa is a big winner. I think getting their another depth defenseman for a playoff run is huge. I would say the Islanders in getting Kyle Palmieri and Zajac to shore up their offensive game for the playoffs and add some depth. And I think the Leafs also are a winner. I think Nick Foligno is a great acquisition for what this team's trying to do for playoff success. For losers, I'm gonna go with the Penguins. I don't think Jeff Carter's an answer at 4C, and I think his best days are behind him, and it doesn't add any creativity in the bottom 6. I'm going to go with the Winnipeg Jets, who needed to add.
You're ridiculous.
Who needed to add a a good defensive defenseman to play in the top 4 to compete with teams like Anaheim and Toronto, and didn't do it. And,
Anaheim.
What?
You said Anaheim.
Edmonton. No, did I say Edmonton and Toronto? Sorry, if I said Anaheim and Edmonton, and because they're woeful defensively and aren't going to go anywhere. And the final losers, I would have to say, are the Buffalo Sabres for somehow not being able, despite the no movement clause, which I think hampered them a lot, to get a first-round pick for fucking Taylor Hall at the deadline. I think those are the 3 losers, but I think the Jets round out that bunch of losers as the top.
Brutal. Just the worst. Can I do my losers next, Nick?
Are we supposed to do losers and winners at the same time, or was it just winners at the...
No, this is good. I like that we did winners, me, Kyle, to you, and now we'll go losers the same way back. So Kyle, take it away.
Little snake action here. First loser, obvious one, Buffalo. Any veteran GM could have gotten more for Taylor Hall. The guy's stats suggest that you can get a first-round pick, period. And then just give him the no movement clause. Dumb. You know what? And then like, I don't know, giving off Montreal. You lost a lot of roster players, and you didn't come out looking that great in a draft perspective. That's a loss. I'm going to go off the board with my next team. Columbus Blue Jackets are a loser.
Wow.
Why? not because they screwed the trades, but because we're finally realizing, Columbus is now a lottery team for the next 3 or 4 years. They're going to be terrible, and they've just lost Patrick Laine, who will not re-sign with a loser team, and especially with the experience he's had there. Now, why would Patrick Laine want to sign there? The reasons are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So Columbus has lost out big time, which is so sad. Just a few years removed from that feel-good story where they beat Tampa in the first round and went all in. Now they suck.
It seems like forever ago, man.
Yeah, it was only 2 years ago.
I know, but it seems like such a long time ago.
Yeah. So that's why they're losers, is because this is the start of a new rebuild.
They're going to be losers moving forward, so that we may as well just call them losers.
Yep.
Okay, I'll piggyback off of Joe. I have Edmonton and Winnipeg as losers.
Hey!
They both failed to add defensemen, and they when you think about it, this Canadian division, we saw arms races in the other divisions, but we didn't see anything in this division. We saw the Leafs go for it all as we expected, and no one else upped the ante. We talked about Montreal. All they did was add 2 depth defensemen, Merrill and Gustafsson. And then Edmonton sat there and got Kulikov, who's not even, he's not even like a formidable defenseman that scares me, a real notable guy. We didn't even notice it. We didn't even mention him in our trades.
No.
And then Winnipeg does nothing, which, it's shocking. If there was one area to shore up, it was defense, and I would have really liked to see them acquire defensemen. So they both lost on the arms race. Whether that materializes in the playoffs in any manner, we will see what the story holds. But for now, they're losers in my books. And then of course, I mentioned it earlier, Vegas Golden Knights are losers. They failed to keep up with Colorado. They paid a second and a third for this Janmark guy who he's gone 10 straight games without a goal and had just a point in 1 point in 14 games. And you're giving up a second and a third for this guy. So I sure hope this guy becomes the next Selke Trophy winner, because I'm not seeing it right here on the score sheet. And I hope this guy proves me wrong. As a Vegas fan, as a Pete DeBoer fan, I hope this materializes here.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple things to note to close out our show, just side topics. Recent news from the NHL being that the Vancouver Canucks will be finally coming out of quarantine this weekend. I believe it's Monday against the Leafs will be their first game. They were originally scheduled to play tomorrow. Sunday now. Okay,
yeah,
so Sunday night against the Leafs. There you go. They had to move that. I think they were scheduled to play on Saturday, but they had to move it. So there's that. They had 19 players test positive for COVID. Lots of gnarly symptoms. Fevers, chills, nausea, weight loss, vomiting, extreme fatigue. One player went on an IV drip, while another experienced brain fog. Apparently, Quinn Hughes lost all of his muscle, what little muscle he had.
Oh, no way. Really?
I'm serious, man. He was hooked up to an IV all week.
What?
Poor kid. He was the sickest of any of the players. That's what I heard.
And this is just a testament to all those morons out there that say, "Oh, COVID isn't a big deal."
Mm-hmm.
These guys are fucking elite athletes. They're in better shape than you, Doug from Barrie, who's got a gut and protesting lockdowns and anti-mask. It's a real fucking thing, and it's bad. Just wanted to make that fucking known. These guys are elite athletes, and having symptoms where these guys train 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and these guys are experiencing serious fucking symptoms. And then Doug from Barrie, who with a 6-pack and a gut hanging out from here to the floor, says, "Oh, I'm not going to wear a mask." Be warned.
Very well said. Yeah.
No, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. There were 3 other teams who kind of faced similar situations where a bunch of players went on protocol. So New Jersey at one point had 17 go on protocol, Philly had 7, Buffalo had 9. All had games postponed. post that break, Philadelphia, they were 8-3-2 before their pre-outbreak. Post-outbreak, 12-14-4.
Wow.
The Devils 4-3-2 since the outbreak, 10-19-4.
Mhm.
Buffalo 4-4-2, now 7-21-5.
Wow.
So this is legit. Here, goal
Yep.
differential. Philly +6, post-outbreak -34. Devils
Oh!
Devils -1, now -31 since the outbreak. Devils -3 pre-outbreak, -41 since the outbreak.
Oh.
This is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And
They're done. They're done.
they were done. They were done the second I saw them play the Leafs in a 3-game series, and the Leafs shellacked them, and they couldn't defend. That's when I told myself this team's not making the playoffs. But the point is, this is basically the death sentence here. And there's been talks of if they should even play, maybe just right off their schedule. But
Right.
but the league's content. They want to finish the season. They want 56 games. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is this Canadian division, is now being extended, I believe, till like the 19th or something, like mid-May. And because of that, we're gonna have playoff games in the other divisions going on, while
No
Ottawa
way.
and Vancouver are playing a meaningless game on a
my
Tuesday
God.
night when Colorado's playing St. Louis in the first round.
Oh my God. That's
They just
actually a
gotta-
joke.
They just got to cancel the games. No, like
Yeah.
I can understand if it was like a team that was like right on the bubble, but they're not going to make the playoffs. And I don't know what revenue the NHL thinks they're going to generate. First of all, there's no fans, so that's already a moot point. But who's going to watch Ottawa and Vancouver on a Tuesday night if other U.S. teams are playing in the playoffs? Like you have to be a real diehard fan of either of those teams to watch some of that crap while other teams are playing in the playoffs. And more so, it's just for like the health and safety of the players, not even because of COVID, which I'm sure took a great toll on them and might be still experiencing after effects, because we don't know the long-term effects, but the physical conditioning of these players that aren't practicing. I mean, they were fucking ready to play tonight and then Saturday against the Maple Leafs Vancouver. And the NHL said, and the players have to say, like, no, we're not playing. Like, we can't make them play. So I think because they're so far out and because of that, they just shouldn't play. Like, I don't see the point in putting the players through this for the rest of the season. Let them go home, go see their families. And it's not even Vancouver. What about Ottawa? Ottawa could be done 2 weeks before Vancouver comes back, right? Like, their season's over too. These guys want to leave, go see their families and stay home. You know, I just don't see the point of putting the Canucks players through it. And for that matter, the Ottawa players who said, fuck this, why are we even playing these games?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be opposed to canning Vancouver altogether, or at least canning a lot of the games. Like, why not just have them play a very dispersed schedule? And you know, I don't know. The league is so rigid in these kinds of things. And I mean, you look at the schedule they have. 19 games in 31 days.
Ridiculous.
That's a murder's row.
And it's games against the Leafs, and like they play Edmonton a couple of times, and Calgary's desperate for a playoff spot. These aren't, easy games. Like, this is, and especially coming off that where you haven't practiced in almost a month.
Yeah, it hurts the integrity of the league, in my opinion. It's not going to be it's not going to be a good product.
Like, even like the Leafs players, like, could you imagine? Like, they're probably thinking like, "Fuck, like, we're going to go in there Sunday against a team that hasn't played in a while." Like, it's just, there's a mutual respect between players in the league. Like, it's not fair for the Canucks, right? Like,
it's not a good situation.
Hey,
whatsoever.
like Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly says, it's an imperfect solution to an imperfect situation.
I love that.
Well,
so that's his defense.
Tell Bill to cancel the game.
Okay. Finally, Kyle, friend of the show, Greg Carville, finally wins his NCAA championship. They won the Frozen Four at Pierre Maguire's favorite school of the University of the Massachusetts of Amherst. And they finally win. And what did you make of this? Pierre Maguire on the record saying Greg Carville is now the best coach outside the NHL.
Well, I got a quote for you, if you care to hear it.
Go ahead.
So you might think this Greg Carvel is destined for an NHL job, but you'd be wrong. He doesn't want to go to the pros. And I quote, "What I want to accomplish with players can't be done in the NHL." So a really
He's too good for the NHL, eh? Fuck this guy.
I don't know.
Like him.
I don't know what to make of that. I think what he wants to say, he's a player's coach to the nth degree, in that he wants to develop guys. He wants to, make their lives better on and off the ice. And with the pro league like the NHL, it's more of a dollars and cents kind of thing, and you can't focus on development as much as he does at college. I guess that's what I guess. And if that's the case, then I got a ton of respect for the guy. And he developed Cale Makar. And then once Cale Makar left the program, then he won the championship. It's amazing what he's done. And yeah, I mean, I don't know the guy at all, not gonna lie, but just based on his accomplishments and that quote, God, I love this guy. What a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I would just like to see him in the NHL so I could see what he actually can do in the pros, I mean, he mentioned he's coached in 2 Stanley Cup finals and he lost both. He's never won a Stanley Cup. So I kind of think that quote's full of shit. I think there is a part of him that probably really wants to win. And I think we will see him at the NHL at some point. So regardless of that quote, I think that's just negotiation tactics. That's just there to get a better salary when a team inevitably approaches him to be a head coach. That's what I think it is.
This is who Greg Carney is.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, at the beginning of the show, I'm like, who the fuck is Greg Carney? What a name.
Harville. Okay.
What I will listen to is that Spit and Chicklets episode that he was on that Josh suggested. I will dive in on that for sure.
Do so. He sounds like a very intelligent guy.
You listen to it?
Guy. I saw a snippet on Instagram.
Okay.
Okay. And finally, it wouldn't be an episode of our show if we did not have a weekly edition of the Laugh Track.
Laugh Track.
Rangers on a bit of a heater right now.
Yes, they are.
Don't look now, but they've won about. I think if I have this right, I think they've won 6 of their last 8, and 6 of their last 9 they've won, and they're on a bit of a heater. Igor Shesterkin 2 straight shutouts. Panarin is lighting it up. Zibanejad is back to playing pre-COVID Zibanejad, and little baby Lafreniere is meandering around on the 4th line. So what's going on there in Ranger Town, Kyle?
It's the
I've stopped watching. I've checked out.
First of all, it's the 3rd line. And second of all, he's having more fun than he ever has in his life. He looks like he's having a blast. He hugged Chris Kreider so hard that he almost fell over, which I love to see. And now you're like all season for sure, but as of late, you're starting to see a little bit of flashes of stuff here and there. He still lacks a ton of confidence. He still looks a little bit mopey, dopey, stupid. But how you can tell it's the confidence issue is that he is a different player on one specific circumstance. They're winning and it's lopsided and the coach is just throwing them over the boards. And then he can do whatever he wants. So he's loose. He makes plays. He looks way better when the team's crushing the other team at the end of the game. Like it's a confidence thing. And once he gets handed the keys in the coming years, I'm very confident he'll be a wonderful player. The next Gretzky.
Wow.
Yeah, he's playing a lot better.
Joe, can we please just mention how Kyle's tune has changed since
God.
3 months ago, where he was looking for answers, and now just because he has him on his fantasy team, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, I feel like I've gone on this emotional journey with Kyle, where it's like, 1 minute he's a bust, he's Gretzky, he's a bust, he's Gretzky. It's like the bat at Wonderland, just like loops and. But no, I actually agree with Kyle. I think he's actually been playing very well over these last couple of games. Listen, I I think I've seen enough to know that he's not going to be a superstar in this league, but I think he's going to be a quality player, putting up points.
Wrong.
But
Wrong.
it's good to see. It's good to see him. It's good to see him put up some points. But I mean, again, like I don't even have him in the top 10 for Calder voting.
No,
He's not
nobody
even
does. Nobody
there.
does. But the point is, Pierre Maguire brought this up the other day. He says Pierre Maguire, when he evaluates players, he looks at their positions, what they contribute at those positions, and when he sees Lafreniere, what he says is, Kyle, I think if we were to summarize what Lafreniere is, which we've talked about at nauseum, and is very hard to do, but gun to your head, if you had to say something, you would say playmaking winger.
Yes.
And the reality is, when you look at the best playmaking wingers in the league, so Joe mentioned superstars. Here are your superstar playmaking wingers: Patrick Kane, Mitch Marner. Right? Those are superstar
Artemi
playmaking
Panarin.
wingers. Artemi Panarin. Those three guys.
Mikko Rantanen.
Is Lafreniere one of those guys?
Yes. Absolutely.
He doesn't. I don't see it yet. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it yet.
Leon Draisaitl. Nikita Kucherov. The list may go on.
Mitch Marner will have a better career than Alexis Lafreniere.
Nope. Disagree.
Sorry, say it again.
Mitch Marner will have a better career than Alexis Lafreniere.
Yes. Yes. That's not even a debate. Of course he will.
Is so much better than Alexis Lafreniere.
You guys
He moves so much better.
Oh my God. Marner's
You guys are ridiculous.
Alexis wish he had the skill Mitch Marner did in his first season. Mitch Marner in the London Knights is better than Alexis Lafreniere now.
Ridiculous. Can
You're ridiculous.
You guys don't understand how ridiculous that statement is at this stage of the game. At this stage of the game, Mitch Marner was playing in London. He was playing in London, getting less points per game than Alexis Lafreniere did when he was fucking in his draft year.
The Q's a soft league.
Well, it doesn't matter. The
Q's a soft league, and you know it.
No.
Listen,
Marner's always been surrounded by ample talent. He's had every fucking advantage in his entire that anyone could possibly have.
Okay.
He played for the London Knights.
Or he's just a generational playmaker.
He's not.
Which he is.
He's not.
He is. He's literally a generational playmaker.
He's pretty great, Kyle. He's pretty great. I mean, he's a
superstar.
Okay.
Kyle, if you go to the Jack Astor's in London we used to frequent, there's a reason there's a photo of Mitch Marner eating a chicken wing plastered to the wall because he's an
NHL player. He's an NHL player.
Lafreniere does not have that same treatment in Rimouski.
Okay, how many times have you been to Rimouski?
Well, I haven't been to a Jack Astor's in Rimouski yet, but I'm sure there's not a thing of him eating chicken wings.
Listen, I don't think that's one of the things you want to do. Trust me.
I'm 1,000% sure there's more Lafreniere shit than in Rimouski than there is Mitch Marner shit.
Guys, Mitch Marner is a superstar. There's few players or few wingers that can drive a line like that man can. I think it's unfair to start comparing.
But how do you know? How could you possibly know?
I'm about to address that. I don't think it's fair at this point to make any comparisons between Mitch Marner and Alexis Lafreniere.
Thank you.
But
you're speculating.
What I will say is that when Marner came to the NHL, regardless of timeline, he made an immediate impact. We could tell this guy was skilled. When I watch Lafreniere play, 75% of the time, it's like I don't even notice the guy out there. Maybe that's coaching and they're not playing him, but I don't know, man. It seems like it just seems like he's gonna
He lacks an it factor. He lacks
an it factor. Exactly. Marner's
He's very good at a bunch of things. He's very good at a bunch of things, but he lacks being amazing at a certain thing. And the one thing he is very good at, like the mind or the thinking, it's non-quantifiable. We haven't seen it yet. Until we see it, I don't give a fuck about it.
So when we're talking about Mitch Marner, for example, one of the things you immediately notice about him is that he has an it factor because he passes the puck like very few people can in the league.
The edge work too is
it's
pretty impressive.
The edge work, the skating, now his defensive capabilities, where he's probably going to get Selke votes. Lafreniere, there's like when I watch him now, and again, this is one season. I hate to rush to judgment, but like you said, there's not one thing where I look at him when he plays like, oh fuck, like this guy has X it factor. Matthews, it was the goal scoring, it was the shot. Marner's the edge work and the skating. Kane, when he came into the league, was the shot. Crosby was the 200-foot game. Ovechkin was the shot. What does Lafreniere have that I'm like, you know what, this is an it factor? Because all those guys I just mentioned at this point in their career, we all saw it. We don't see anything with Laf right now.
That's why this guy's so freaking strange, is because sometimes he looks terrible. Like I said this on last show or the one previous. In his first World Junior appearance, he looked like a fucking AA player. He looked terrible. He looked like he didn't have his head. The coach even called him out for going for a lap, going for a skate. The very next year, quantum leap in space and time and movement, and he's MVP. He's MVP in his draft year, where Mitch Marner couldn't even make the team. Like, you've got 35 to 40 games of NHL games, but you've got 3 years of uncontested legendary junior career. I know it's just a junior career, but the resume speaks to him being like one of these guys that we're talking about. So, I mean, after 35 games on a limited role, no, I'm not going to be making any sort of drastic judgments like that. Although I did do that earlier, mind you, but
yeah, several times. But I agree with you on the point that it's. Listen, I'm not ready to. I'm not ready to call him a bust. I don't think he's a bust. I think, like I said, like right now, at least from the body of work I've seen, it looks like he's going to be a good point producer in this league at some point. But that's how I see it. That's just right now, like immediate recency bias shit. Obviously, that could change. I'm just not ready to, start comparing him to fucking like Mitch Marner, who's like a superstar in this league. It's a high bar for Lafreniere to meet. And I think it's an unfair comparison for Laf at this point to compare him to him. We don't know what he's going to be yet. But recency bias to me, and what I've seen, because I knew I was going to be on this show, I watched a lot of the Lafreniere tape from this past week just because I knew I was going to be on the show. He looks like a guy that's still fighting it out there, and he's still trying to figure out his role in this league, and that's natural for a rookie that didn't have an off season,
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no reason to rush to judgment here. Like, I don't think we should, but the bold comparisons about Mitch Marner, like that might be a bit too far in my opinion.
Yeah, well, like I said, only 4 points back of Boston. So they are like really grinding it out right now. And I would not be surprised if we see him lose some ice time in these next few weeks, because I could see a David Quinn going with the lineup that's more advantageous to winning now as opposed to development. I think Quinner can see that playoff spot, and he's going to try to go for it regardless what it takes.
He's already doing that, though. That's why he's cut him off
12
the power
minutes.
play.
12 minutes a night for Lafreniere.
Exactly. So he's already doing that, and regardless of that, Laf is probably putting up his best point per game average of the season. 7
goals already. So, right? Is that right? 7 goals?
Maybe.
He's got 7 goals right now through 40-something games, which in a regular season would be 14, averaging 14 goals in your rookie year, which is very impressive.
It's not bad, I guess.
I'll give him that.
How many goals did Mitch Marner score in his rookie year? Let me take a look.
Enough of this. I just brought it up because he's a playmaking winner. They're both supposed to be playmaking winners.
I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Now I want to see
Marner got 19 goals in his draft +2 year. So if Lafreniere gets 19 goals next year, then I'll buy you a pizza. I have a hard time.
Well, he also had 42 assists, so he had 61.
Well, whatever.
So I don't know.
And he had first power play time, and he had ample opportunity.
Okay.
Wow.
I think
like the Leafs were bottoming out when they picked him up. Like New York was in the playoffs last year. It's a different situation. He's playing behind Panarin. He's playing behind a bunch of guys.
Right,
Yeah,
which makes Lafreniere's situation all the interesting. You're always going to be behind the great
Wow.
Artemi Panarin.
No. Because someone can move to the other wing, right?
I know, but there's only room for one playmaker on the power play.
My prediction is Laff will be a center within 4 years.
Oh God,
Okay.
no.
What do you mean? What? How is he not like made for
I
center?
don't know. I don't know. I don't think he has the playmaking ability to be a center.
Oh, dude!
At least not right, dude. I'm going off.
What are you
the laugh
talking
tra-
about,
dude? The laugh track about the recent.
You're
play
out of
Alexis-
control with this stuff, man.
The laugh track is about the recent play of Alexis Laff. Is it not? That's what this is. What this
That's
is.
crazy. You're crazy.
So when I look at the last stretch of games, I watched all the tape. I don't know if he has that ability. Again, this is all just recency bias. This is what all it is for me. It's just recency bias. He possibly, but this is all just recency bias. Listen, what's wrong with being a good winger?
He's the
nothing
best
wrong with that.
He's the best playmaker in this 2020 draft, which was one of the best drafts of the last 10 years. He's the best playmaker and the best player of a draft that was the best
playmaker in the. Anyways,
okay, you're being ridiculous.
right? But dude, right now, like he's not even better than like Stützle.
He makes
Stützle is a better.
He makes some passes where you have no idea how he could have seen it.
In junior.
No, in the NHL. They don't make the highlight tapes. You will not see them unless you're watching the game. But every so often he'll make a pass. You're like, holy fuck.
I'd agree with Kyle on this one. I think he has the two-way game to be a center, and I think because he lacks that flash and dash element to his game, I think he's better suited to be a center. The winger spot is more reserved for those flash and dash Jonathan Drouin kind of guys. The center is more, and he's winning his faceoffs. His faceoff rate's been very good in his rookie year. He's got a two-way game. He can play on the penalty kill. I could see him being a center. But 4 years from now, we will see where that is, because it does take a long time to cultivate those kind of players. Okay, can I move on to a lighter note to finish our show?
No, we're not done. No, I'm kidding. We're done.
Okay. I'm
pissed off. I'm really pissed off.
All right. Simmer down now. Simmer down.
So yeah, take it easy over there.
I want to get some laughs out now. So
he's better than Marner.
All right. Simmer down.
God, simmer down over there. Have another beer.
The Leafs would trade Marner for Laff. I guarantee it.
You're insane. You're nuts.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So did you guys see the TSN coverage?
Yes.
No, on it,
Pitcher
Nick. I was
matchup.
at work. I didn't see any of it.
So
None.
did you see the face mashups?
No. None.
Okay. So who am I looking at right now, Kyle?
That's
hold on.
LeBrun and is that Dreger mixed with him?
Yes, sir.
Oh my
Yes.
That is Pierre Dreger.
Oh God. That is
I
an
don't like
image.
that.
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh, it's hideous. It's hideous.
Gordon Ray. Oh yes.
God. Hideous.
Actually,
you like that one, Kyle?
that is a
God.
legendary duo mixed into one man, and I love it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
what about
hideous
this one?
though. Jesus.
What happened to the teeth?
Yeah. What the hell?
Noodles
Oh.
O'Neill.
That guy looks like a full-on. Nah, never mind.
Complete that sentence.
No, we're on air.
Okay.
Ew.
It's just hideous.
Okay, I think
There's three more,
Gordon
there's three
Miller's a
more.
decent looking guy, but like when
Is
you
that-
mix him with anyone else, it's fucked.
Yeah. Who is that?
Okay.
Brady Kachuk and
Ignore that
Victor
one. What about
Mete.
this one? Gino Button.
oh my God.
Looks like the guy who makes me my pizzas.
He looks like he looks like an Oompa Loompa.
Joe, does this not look like a guy from The Sopranos?
Seriously, it looks like Paulie's cousin from The Sopranos.
Yeah, all he's missing is the tracksuit.
Oh my God, it sounds looks like he'll show up at your door and demand like $50. Oh my God.
This one, for the record, this was the fan favorite of the show, but it wasn't my favorite. Moving on Bob McDuffie.
Oh my god.
Ew,
Hideous.
man.
This one's disturbing. This one's just
He looks
disturbing.
he looks like a fucking like a bird.
This guy looks like he would rest his chin on your shoulder just for fun.
Oh, looks like he's like a close talker too.
Yeah, oh, he definitely is. Looks like he
Oh.
eats his food with just his mouth and not his hands.
Oh,
Oh my
that
God.
picture is a representation of Alexis Lafreniere's career in the NHL.
Oh,
Oh, I'm dying.
you know what that's called? It's called the Enigma. He is
The
the
Enigma.
Enigma.
And finally, my favorite, Carlo Saravelli,
That's a pretty
God.
good-looking
The-
guy.
the Sheldon Keefe lookalike.
Yeah,
Seriously,
that is a pretty good-looking guy.
I think it's pretty on point. So that one,
of course.
I think,
What do
is
you
the
want? It's two Italians mixed together. What do you want?
it's probably the most accurate of all of them, the least like exaggerated. But
Yeah. That
Yeah, okay.
that Bob McDuffie was hideous. Like that's the stuff of like nightmares. No offense
That-
to
that
both
was
those guys.
blasphemy.
I think both by themselves are great looking guys, but together, Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Looks like Woody Woodpecker like was on LSD. Oh my god. Yeah. Gino McButton looks like a fucking character from The Sopranos. He looks like he's gonna come and knock on your door and ask for fucking money.
yeah. Isn't it that scene where Polly goes up to someone's door and asks for money or whatever?
Yeah,
That's exact-
it's basically.
That's exactly what it is.
It's like when him
Yeah.
and Chris get lost in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there you go, Kyle. That's about all you missed. I'd say it was an underwhelming trade center.
It was probably the worst trade center I've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
I was studying in front of the TV and I'm like, this is horrible. Like there's nothing going on here.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. Yeah. What are you going to do?
I mean, listen, the flat cap teams don't want to move. It's no one's fault. But you know what? Credit to them. They tried to make it entertaining. And even despite the boring trade tonight, still watch TSN over Sportsnet any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, easy.
Yeah.
It's not even close. It's not even a debate.
Easy.
for sure. I think they were missing a bit of the Pierre Maguire spunk. You know, Kyle.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Well,
wasn't
Pierre
there,
is
right?
one of Pierre needs to be more prevalent on TSN.
Yeah, he
now.
was
I
not
don't know
there. He
why
was
he's
not there, Kyle.
That's sad.
Yeah, V said. But yeah, with that fun stuff out of the way, that wraps it up for our show. Glad we ended up on a bit of a lighter note. We wrap up our 9th episode here, our annual Trade Center edition. So unless there's any closing thoughts, I think this does it for us.
Closing thoughts, Kyle. I was just busting your balls. I think Lafreniere is going to be a great player in this league. I was
A
just busting your
superstar.
balls. I wanted to get, I don't know about that, but I wanted to get a rise out of you. For the record, I think he's going to be a good player, and I still have faith in him. Those are my closing. Oh, and the Jets suck. Those are my closing thoughts.
Oh, boy. Well, I got a Jets jersey coming in about a week's time.
Wow.
So next time we do a show, I'm going to wear it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who's
It's a
on the
fresh
jersey?
Shifley, of course.
Which one? Is it the blue one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. If I need some toilet paper, I'll give you a call.
Okay. This guy's ridiculous.
Full of chirps. Full of chirps. Okay. So, yeah, with that said, we look forward to getting back at it in a couple of weeks. And until then, we hope you enjoyed the show. Plenty of playoff races to keep track of moving forward. So please tune in for that. And please tune in to hear our thoughts in 2 weeks' time. So with all that said, thank you for tuning in. Rink Moose is signing off.
Great show.